Chapter 869. Lin Xian nodded. Without any hesitation, a sharp sword radiance appeared on his body as he rushed downwards. Wherever he passed, the ice layer cracked. Nothing could stop him. The deeper he went, the colder the air became. In the end, even a third heaven venerable did not dare to stay. Fortunately, Lin Xian had the Red Lotus armor. Otherwise, he would not have been able to reach this place. When Lin Xian arrived at the depths of the ice layer, he immediately scanned his surroundings. Soon he found a lotus flower in the ice layer at the bottom right. It was blue and emitted a strange fragrance. The lotus flower was crystal clear and contained traces of multicolored light. As the light flowed, it carried a coldness that made one's soul tremble. The aura contained a mysterious fluctuation. It was the same fluctuation that the Crimson Dragon had sensed earlier. The Crimson Dragon stared down and said, "Ice Snow Demonic Lotus. That's right. This is the Ice Snow Demonic Lotus." Lin Xian also took a deep breath and looked down with a fiery gaze. He did not expect the Ice Snow Demonic Lotus to really be under the ice layer. In fact, this was normal. It was the safest to be under the ice layer, which was hundreds of meters deep. This place was so cold that even a third heaven venerable would not dare to enter. Even if a powerhouse discovered it, they might not be able to take it. Only a cultivator like Lin Xian, who possessed the Red Lotus armor with such strong defense, would be able to come here. Slowly exhaling, Lin Xian calmed himself down. The sword radiance on his body surged like a sharp sword as he quickly flew downwards. However, just as he approached the Ice Snow Demonic Lotus, he felt an extremely cold air rush towards him as if it was going to freeze him. Lin Xian used his fire concept and formed a raging fire around him to resist the cold air with all his might. Whoosh! Suddenly, an indiscernible radiance pierced through the void and arrived in front of him in an instant before stabbing down. Bang! In the next moment, the blue radiance hit his chest and made a deep sound. The terrifying force sent him flying. Lin Xian took a few steps back. His entire body was stiff and cold, and his movements became slow. A cold and gloomy aura quickly drilled into his body, causing destruction. Lin Xian quickly circulated the longevity incantation, dispelling the cold air and restoring his senses. At the same time, a look of deep shock appeared in his eyes. It was too terrifying. If he didn't have the Red Lotus armor, that attack would have pierced through his heart. What was it that possessed such a terrifying aura? Now that he thought about it, his heart was filled with fear. Lin Xian scanned the area with all his might. Found it. Soon, Lin Xian's pupils constricted and his expression turned grave. On the ice snow lotus below, there was a blue ice snake. Its entire body was blue, as if it had fused together with the ice snow bewitching lotus. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't have noticed it at all. The ice snake was only 3 feet long. It coiled around its body, and its blue eyes stared coldly at Lin Xian. On its head, there was a thumb-sized horn that emitted a deep blue light. It's the Unicorn Ice Snake King. He's ranked in the top 100 on the Earth list. The Crimson Dragon said in a deep voice, "Ranked in the top 100. Lin Xian was shocked. He didn't expect this seemingly small ice snake to have such a powerful background. You're lucky. This Unicorn Ice Snake King hasn't fully matured yet. Its current strength is equivalent to a third heaven supremacy. Although it's powerful, it's not undefeatable. If he had come a little later and allowed it to devour the ice snow bewitching lotus, even a fourth heaven supremacy might not be able to subdue it. So my luck is not bad?" Lin Xian laughed bitterly. His expression was grave, and he didn't dare to be careless. The previous attack had shown him how powerful his opponent was. This Unicorn Ice Snake King was definitely a threat to his life. "Don't worry. With the 3 of us working together, we can definitely subdue it." The Crimson Dragon and the Snow White Monkey jumped out. However, we have to distribute the items first. I don't want the ice snow bewitching lotus, but you have to help me capture this unicorn ice snake king. The crimson dragon wasn't interested in the ice snow bewitching lotus. However, it was determined to capture the ice snake in front of it. Although it was a snake and couldn't compare to a dragon, it was still a beast ranked in the top 100 on the Earth list. Its bloodline was still very strong. If it could devour its flesh, it would definitely be able to recover a lot of its strength. All right, Lin Xian nodded. Wu Ji the Snow White Monkey also nodded in agreement. The unicorn ice snake king looked at Lin Xian with a mocking look in its eyes. As a beast, it was powerful and intelligent. Naturally, it could tell that although the human in front of it was powerful, he was no match for it. Although it didn't kill him with its previous attack, it believed that if it attacked again, he wouldn't be able to withstand its attack. However, when the 2-foot-long dark red snake appeared, the unicorn ice snake king became nervous. Its entire body tensed up, and its blue eyes were filled with shock and fear. Although its opponent was weaker than it, the aura it exuded was so oppressive that it couldn't breathe. This wasn't a suppression of strength, but a suppression of the bloodline in its body. When it saw the dark red snake, it was like a subject seeing its king. It wanted to bow down and worship it. Hiss, hiss! The unicorn ice snake king's body circled around. It opened its bloody mouth and spat out its tongue, letting out angry roars. As a beast ranked in the top 100 on the Earth list, its bloodline was strong and its strength was strong. How could it tolerate someone worshipping it? It was the king here. Everyone had to bow down to it. The appearance of the dark red snake was undoubtedly a challenge to its position. It had to kill its opponent and eat its flesh. Only then could it vent its anger. Only then could it maintain its position as the overlord. Perhaps its opponent's flesh could help it evolve. In the next moment, the unicorn ice snake king moved quickly. Like an icy blue sword, it drew a shadow in the air and quickly pierced towards the crimson dragon. Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't expect the opponent's target to be Ruzalong. He focused his gaze and was about to stop it. He knew that Ruzalong hadn't fully recovered his strength. He was only equivalent to a first heaven honorable. Against the unicorn ice snake king, it would be a little difficult. However, what shocked Lin Xian was that the crimson dragon was faster than him. The crimson dragon's purplish gold eyes looked at the blue figure in front of it, showing a trace of disdain. Although it had lost its dragon essence and its strength was greatly reduced, it was still an Eastern divine dragon. Its bloodline was strong and unmatched. Moreover, it was an old monster that had lived for thousands of years. It was very experienced. Dealing with a small snake that hadn't fully matured was a simple matter. Even if its opponent was strong, it could crush it with its bloodline. The dark red divine dragon growled and let out a deep dragon roar. It rushed forward quickly, and a powerful dragon aura shrouded the surroundings. Buzz! The unicorn ice snake king, who was flying at high speed, suddenly froze. Its eyes were filled with deep fear. Chapter 870. It was too powerful. This aura was absolutely suppressive. Its body could not resist at all. It knew that it had underestimated its opponent. The difference in their levels was far greater than it had expected. Run! The unicorn ice snake king turned tail and ran, not daring to stay any longer. Help me stop it! The crimson dragon shouted. Don't let it escape! The crimson dragon shouted. It could only use its aura to intimidate its opponent. If it wanted to escape, it would not be able to stop it. For this, it would have to rely on Lin Xian and the little white monkey. As soon as the crimson dragon finished speaking, the little white monkey turned into a ray of white light and chased after the unicorn ice snake king. In the next moment, its furry paw slapped the unicorn ice snake king's head, knocking it unconscious. At the same time, Lin Xian stretched out his palm and used the dragon catcher hands. Golden light flashed, forming two dragon palms that quickly grabbed the Unicorn Ice Snake King. In an instant, the Unicorn Ice Snake King had been captured. At this time, the Unicorn Ice Snake King had recovered from the dizziness. When it saw the situation it was in, it roared in anger. Although it was powerful, the dragon catcher hands was even more powerful. Furthermore, it was executed by Lin Xian using the dragon sword soul. It was extremely powerful. It could not escape at this time. To think that the mighty Snake King, was actually being controlled by a little brat. This was something that it could not accept. A murderous look appeared in its cold eyes. The Unicorn Ice Snake King screamed into the sky. At the same time, the blue horn on its forehead shone brightly. A power that made one's heart tremble was emitted from the horn. The power was too strong. It definitely surpassed the level of a level 3 honorable. Perhaps only a level 4 honorable could release it. In the next moment, the horn was aimed at Lin Xian. Not good. Lin Xian was shocked. He felt like he was on the verge of death. Without hesitation, he quickly pulled out the Lone Star Sword and activated the Dragon Sword Soul to its maximum. Then he slashed out with his sword. At the same time, the Unicorn Ice Snake King released a blue ray of death that tore through the void. The two collided, creating a terrifying scene. Buzz. Crack. The Lone Star Sword combined with the Great Dragon Sword Soul had an extremely powerful attack power that directly shattered the blue ray. Then he stabbed out with his sword again. The terrifying sword Qi slashed at his opponent's body and tore open a terrifying wound. Kid, control it. Leave the rest to me. Seeing this, the Crimson Dragon howled in delight. It dashed to the side of the Unicorn Ice Snake King and quickly slithered away to set up a formation. Then he sat in the middle of the formation and tried his best to activate it. Roar! Although the array was unknown, it was very magical. In an instant, the Unicorn Ice Snake let out a miserable cry. Its body twisted crazily, trying to break free from the dragon catcher hands and the array. However, in the next moment, it was struck again, and its entire body was almost split in half. At the same time, a mysterious power was released from the formation and attached to its body, causing its life force to quickly drain away. Not long after, the light in the Snake King's eyes faded. Its body swayed, as if it would collapse at any moment. Kid, that's enough. Let go, the dark red dragon said. Hearing this, Lin Xian put away her Lone Star Sword and dragon catcher hands. She stood to the side and watched quietly. The Crimson Dragon continued to activate the formation, causing the Unicorn Ice Snake King to fall unconscious. Then it opened its mouth and swallowed the snake whole. Kid, Ben Huang is full. I'm going to rest for a bit, the Crimson Dragon said, then went back into the demon beast pouch. Lin Xian shook his head and ignored it. He then looked down, his eyes burning with passion. In a flash, Lin Xian came to the front of the ice snow lotus. He grabbed it with his 5 fingers, and suddenly 7 fist-sized blue lotus seeds floated in the air, emitting a cold light. Although the cold air was cold, it gave people a very comfortable feeling. After giving 3 lotus seeds to little Snow Monkey, Lin Xian kept the remaining 4. He then took a step forward and sat on the lotus with his legs crossed. According to what he knew, the ice lotus seeds were very magical, so he planned to use them immediately. Holding one of the lotus seeds in his hand, Lin Xian activated the art of longevity to absorb the energy in his body. Waves of pure ice energy flew out of the lotus seed and entered Lin Xian's body. Then it flowed through his meridians. Not long after, the cold air flowed through his body. Lin Xian's body became crystal clear, covered with a layer of blue light. He opened his eyes and felt the spiritual energy in his body become even purer. With a smile on his face, Lin Xian turned to look at the little monkey. Suddenly his face froze. This little guy directly treated the frost lotus seed as a jelly bean and ate it directly. Soon, The 3 lotus seeds were swallowed by the little monkey. The little monkey let out a satisfied cry. In a flash, the little monkey climbed onto Lin Xian's shoulder, curled up into a ball and narrowed its eyes. I wonder what will happen if I eat them. Seeing the little monkey's actions, Lin Xian suddenly had the idea of eating them. In the past, these ice crystals were all absorbed by holding them. Very few people would eat them. Now he decided to try it. Taking out another ice lotus seed, Lin Xian ate it. Soon, a strange cold energy exploded in his body. It flowed like a wild current. Suppress it. Lin Xian snorted. He activated the art of longevity with all his might and quickly calmed the cold air. It had to be said that the art of longevity was very mysterious and powerful. Under his activation, the wild cold air was quickly suppressed and flowed according to a specific path. At the same time, Lin Xian felt a strange energy in his body. That energy was not a physical existence, but Lin Xian could clearly feel it. This situation seemed to be a concept. That's right, it was a concept. Lin Xian had already comprehended several concepts, so he was very familiar with this feeling. He was very surprised. He did not expect that eating a snow lotus seed would allow him to comprehend a trace of ice concept. Before this, he had never come into contact with ice attribute energy. However, a single snow lotus seed allowed him to directly comprehend ice concept. As expected of the snow lotus, it's really powerful. Thinking of this, Lin Xian was overjoyed. He quickly swallowed the remaining 2 lotus seeds. In the next moment, the cold energy became more obvious, and it allowed his ice concept to reach the minor accomplishment realm. This snow lotus seed is amazing. Lin Xian opened his eyes full of shock. He got up and looked at the snow lotus under his feet. Strictly speaking, those lotus seeds were just fruits, but this snow lotus was the real body. What would happen if he ate the snow lotus? Thinking of this, Lin Xian plucked a crystal clear lotus petal and took a bite. This action startled the little monkey. The little monkey stared blankly at Lin Xian with its black, gem-like eyes and kept scratching its head. Chapter 871. It stuck its head out and took a bite of the lotus petal before quickly spitting it out. Not only that, it kept spitting with a look of disdain. Then, the snow-white fox looked at Lin Xian with disdain. It snorted twice before curling up into a ball and squinting its eyes. F***CK. I'm being looked down on by a monkey. Lin Xian's mouth twitched. However, he did not give up because the concept of ice in his body had increased once again. It's indeed effective. Lin Xian was pleasantly surprised and could not help but increase his devouring speed. If someone was here and saw this scene, their jaw would drop. It's fine if you ate the lotus seed, but now you're even eating the lotus. This is a little crazy. Lin Xian did not care. He was now comprehending the concept of ice in his body. In just a short while, his concept of ice had reached the greater success stage, and he had only eaten 2 petals. Forget it, I'll eat it all. Lin Xian looked at the remaining lotus platform, and lotus roots with a fiery gaze. In the depths of Frost Valley, the ground was cracked and terrifying cracks spread out in all directions. This was caused by the previous battle. However, a person was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the ruins. This person was dressed in a black robe and had a cold expression. He carried a large black flag on his back that flapped loudly in the wind. This martial artist was one of Xiao Mei's team members. At this moment, he had been left behind to continue monitoring this place. Xiao Mei had ordered him to monitor this place for a day. If he did not find anything unusual after a day, he was to return. From this, it could be seen how big Xiao Mei's obsession was. She really wanted to obtain the yang energy. However, this martial artist in black robe did not care. He only sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to cultivate, not caring about what was happening around him. This was because, in his opinion, a second heaven supremacy had no chance of surviving after entering the icy world below. One had to know that even a third heaven supremacy would have frozen to death after such a long time. However, due to the orders, he could only stay here for a day. Time passed, and half a day had passed. The martial artist in black robe was getting impatient. "Damn, brat, even in death you can't stop worrying." The black-robed cultivator snorted coldly. He couldn't wait to find the other party's corpse and whip it a few times. However, in the next moment, the ice surface in front of him began to tremble slightly. The ground that had already cracked open became hideous once again. "What? Is there a situation?" The black-robed warrior was stunned. Then he quickly stood up and looked ahead with a dignified look. In the next moment, a sword ray flew out from below and soared into the sky. The black-robed cultivator focused his gaze and looked up at the sky. At the same time, his body shook and an incredulous expression appeared on his face. "What? That kid was still alive. How is this possible?" He was too shocked. One had to know that it was extremely cold under the ice. Even a third-rank venerable would have frozen to death after staying there for such a long time. But now, a second heaven-exalted realm, Brat had actually come out unscathed. This was simply too shocking. Impossible. Could it be that this brat has been hiding all this time and didn't go under the ice? The black-clothed martial artist was bewildered. He didn't believe that this young man had rushed up from beneath the ice. He thought that this young man must have been hiding somewhere, and now that he had come out, it was obvious that he wanted to escape. Lin Xian also saw the black-robed cultivator below, and his face immediately turned gloomy. He didn't expect that the other party had not given up and had actually sent a martial artist to stay here. "Since you're here, then stay here." A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Brat, how dare you escape? Today you'll die." The black-robed cultivator snorted coldly. He flipped his hand and pulled out the large black flag behind his back and waved it quickly. Boom! Black fog filled the air and quickly dispersed. It was as if a dark cloud had shrouded the entire area. A deep roar was heard, and a huge black dragon loomed in the clouds. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions. "Brat, die!" The black-robed cultivator sneered and waved the large black flag with all his might. Suddenly, the huge dragon in the sky stretched out its dragon claws and grabbed at Lin Xian. "You want to fight? That's good. I can test my new martial soul." Lin Xian sneered. He raised his arm slightly and circulated his spiritual energy. Then the void behind him blurred and a blue lotus quickly condensed. The lotus was crystal clear. As soon as it appeared, it emitted a cold aura that froze the surrounding air. Lin Xian looked up at the void and looked at the incoming black dragon. He stretched out his hand and grabbed at the dragon. Ka ka ka! In the next moment, the blue ice lotus shadow and the huge black dragon claw collided. A terrifying sound was heard. Clouds of cold air gushed out and wrapped around the black dragon's claw, freezing it. Then, the terrifying cold air flowed along the dragon's claw and quickly spread throughout the dragon's body. "Ice seal," Lin Xian said coldly. The blue lotus behind him rotated and released an extremely cold aura that instantly froze the dragon. "What? How is this possible?" The black-robed cultivator was shocked. He didn't expect that the black dragon would be frozen in an instant. This was too shocking. This brat's strength is terrifying. The black-robed cultivator was shocked. He swallowed his saliva with difficulty and looked up at the sky. Suddenly, his pupils constricted, and he stared at the lotus. Ice snow bewitching lotus. Damn it! This brat got the demonic ice snow lotus. In an instant, he understood that Lin Xian must have had a fortuitous encounter and got the demonic ice snow lotus. This greatly increased his strength and allowed him to freeze the black dragon. "I must report this to the young Mississippi. We must get rid of this brat." The black-robed cultivator was shocked. He decided that he must send this important news back. holding the black flag, the black-robed cultivator turned into a black smoke and rushed into the distance. "Don't you think it's too late to leave?" Lin Xian sneered and stepped on the air. Behind him, a blue lotus spun quickly. "Ice seal the world." He waved his arm, and his cold voice spread in all directions. The blue lotus flew into the sky and released thousands of icy auras, freezing everything within 100 miles. "Open!" The black-robed cultivator roared and threw a punch at the blue ice seal. However, he still underestimated the icy aura. The terrifying punch didn't break the ice seal. Instead, the icy aura slowed his movements, and his entire body seemed to be frozen. He still wanted to resist, but in the next moment, the blue lotus had already arrived above his head. It spun gently and instantly froze him. Lin Xian's footsteps flashed, and he arrived beside the black-robed cultivator. He took the black flag away. He gently tapped the ice sculpture with his finger. Countless cracks appeared on the ice sculpture, and it shattered with a loud bang. The black-robed cultivator's body also cracked and fell to the ground. As expected of the ice lotus martial spirit, it is indeed powerful and has endless uses. Lin Xian smiled with satisfaction. That's right, the blue lotus shadow behind him was his second martial spirit, the ice lotus martial spirit. In the underground ice layer, Lin Xian swallowed the entire demonic ice snow lotus. What shocked him was that, after swallowing it, he actually condensed the ice lotus martial spirit. Originally, he only wanted to raise the ice concept. He didn't expect to condense the ice lotus martial spirit. This was really a surprise. Chapter 872. Now he was no longer a cultivation newbie. Of course, he knew that martial spirits could be twinned because there were some special warriors in the world who had twin martial spirits. But he didn't expect that he would also condense a second martial spirit. I wonder if the other essences can also become martial spirits. Lin Xian had a glimmer of hope in his heart. If the essences of wind, thunder, and fire could also be condensed into martial spirits, then his strength would be terrifying. Of course, he was just thinking about it. Even if he could succeed, the process would be extremely difficult. Putting away the ice lotus martial spirit, Lin Xian's figure flashed and flew out of the ice frost valley. At this time, he had already swallowed the ice frost bewitching lotus. There was no reason to stay in this place. Moreover, he had to find Bingling and the others, as well as the other king's treasures. Lin Xian quickly flew out of the ice frost valley. He used his soul power to explore the surroundings and then flew towards the north. Along the way, Lin Xian saw many warriors flying towards the same place. Puzzled, he also followed behind. There should be treasures in the place where so many people were going. If Bingling and the others were nearby, they should also be going there. Thinking of this, he sped up. Gradually, vegetation appeared in front of him. It was no longer bare ground. First, there were pine trees, then snow trees, and finally, there was a group of unknown plants. Most of them were white, forming a snow forest. Those warriors were running towards the depths of the forest. After passing through the dense forest, Lin Xian found that the area in front of him suddenly became spacious. Under the 1,000-foot-tall ice mountain, there were a few 100-foot-tall caves. The warriors in front of him saw the icy caves and were overjoyed. They couldn't help but speed up. These people were all good at finding treasures. According to their experience, there should be some rare treasures in these caves. With a flash, Lin Xian also went in. Sure enough, there was another world inside. It was like a palace. There were halls, stone rooms, cultivation rooms, and all kinds of things. It should be a ruin left by the ancient people. After passing through many stone corridors and several halls, Lin Xian didn't stop. He kept running towards the depths. This distance had already exceeded the distance of the mountain range. He guessed that it should lead to the underground. Boom! A low and deep voice rang out in front of them, like muffled thunder, It quickly spread in all directions, accompanied by a violent spiritual energy. In front of him, several martial artists were unable to dodge in time and were swept by the fierce and violent spirit chi, and were immediately sent flying. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He flicked out a ray of sword chi from his finger and immediately split the spiritual chi apart. A vacuum appeared where he was standing, and on both sides strong winds blew, blowing against the stone walls, causing them to shake violently. Up ahead, there was a fork in the road, one on the left and one on the right. Lin Xian stood at the fork in the road, thinking about which way to go. At this moment, a shout came from the left passage. "Scram!" Accompanying this voice was a wave of scorching spiritual energy. It was indeed very strange for such a heat wave to appear in this world of ice and snow. Lin Xian frowned, because he found that the sound was made by the eastern phoenix. With a single step, his body swayed as he rushed towards the left side of the passage. At the same time, angry laughter came from the front again. "Ha ha! I didn't expect to see you here again. Little beauty, be obedient and let me have my fun. Maybe I'll let you go. Otherwise, today will be the day you die. You should have thought of today's ending if you dared to provoke our White Sharks gang." Another arrogant voice rang out. At this moment, in a large hall on the left passage, countless martial artists were gathered. Some were lone wolves, some were in small teams, and all kinds of forces were gathered here. However, among the many forces, there was one that was the most powerful. There were about 20 people in this team, and the two leaders were a bald man and a scarred man. Their powerful auras shrouded the entire space. These people were from the White Sharks gang that Lin Xian and the others had met before. Where they stood, no other martial artists dared to approach. In front of them, there were several huge stone statues. The one in front was a woman carrying a sword case on her back. Her hands were supporting the sky, and her feet were stepping on lotuses. Beside the stone statue, there was a fiery red figure. It was a beautiful woman with delicate features and an impressive figure. She wore a red soft armor that accentuated her exquisite curves. Around her, there were countless flames dancing, forming a halo. This woman was Dongfang Phoenix. At this moment, she was holding a crimson red whip in her right hand and a foot-long short sword in her left hand. Her delicate face carried a trace of anger, and her beautiful eyes were burning with anger. "If I were you, I wouldn't resist. The ending will be the same anyway. If I resist, I'll just suffer more." The bald man looked at Dongfang Phoenix, and the corner of his mouth curled up into a sinister smile. The scarred man coldly shouted, "Stupid girl, hand it over quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Tui, I was the one who found it first, and you guys took it. Now you want to take what's in my hand. Do you have any shame?" Dongfang Phoenix was so angry that she stomped her feet. Her beautiful eyes were filled with intense anger. She wished she could burn all of them to ashes. However, although she was angry, she did not act rashly. This was because the scarred man's strength had reached the third heaven of the Venerable Realm, and the bald man was also a top second heaven of the Venerable Realm. Dongfang Phoenix had a chance of winning against any one of them. However, the situation was dangerous when the two of them worked together. Moreover, the other party had a group of strong underlings. If they really fought, she might be besieged. You don't know how to appreciate favors. When I catch you, I'll play you to death. The scarred man snorted coldly and then took a step forward. There was a green sword in his hand. Under the stimulation of his spiritual power, it emitted a dazzling green light. The light was so dazzling that it almost dyed the entire space green. An extremely sharp aura quickly gushed out from the light. When the surrounding martial artists saw the green sword, many of them were enraged and swallowed their saliva. They naturally knew that the green sword in the scarred man's hand was the treasure he found in the main hall. To be exact, he obtained it from the female stone statue. However, he was not the one who found it. He was the one who snatched it. The first person to find the green sword was Dongfang Phoenix. She found the green sword in the sword case on the female stone statue's back. After Dongfang Phoenix arrived at the main hall, she quickly searched and then looked at the female stone statue. When she opened the sword case on the female stone statue, a green light and a red light gushed out and immediately lit up the entire main hall. Along with it came a frighteningly sharp aura. This phenomenon caused a stir in the entire main hall. Chapter 873. These people knew that only a top-grade spirit-grade artifact could emit such an aura. This kind of artifact was already a top-grade artifact. Apart from the half-Earth grade artifacts, it was the most precious spirit artifact. Under normal circumstances, only people from large factions would possess such a top-grade artifact. Ordinary martial artists, even third-level honorables, might not be able to obtain a top-grade artifact. One could imagine how precious a top-grade spirit-grade artifact was. At this moment, 2 top-grade artifacts had appeared in the main hall at the same time. How could the crowd not be tempted? Countless people's eyes burned with passion as they rushed toward the stone statue. However, in the chaotic battle, the scarred man used his third-level honorable martial artist strength to snatch the green sword. As for the red short sword, it was protected by Dongfang Fenghuang. However, the green and red swords were originally a pair of mother-son swords. They could only unleash their greatest power when combined. If they were separated, their power would be greatly reduced. How could the scarred man be willing to give up after obtaining the green sword? Therefore, he set his sights on Dongfang Fenghuang. They were determined to obtain the green and red mother-son swords. Moreover, Dongfang Fenghuang was extremely beautiful. It was difficult for them to raise her. Regardless of the reason, they would attack Dongfang Fenghuang. Stinky girl, I advise you to surrender. Otherwise, you'll be in for a treat later. The scarred man's voice was cold. He was the leader of the White Sharks gang. His strength had reached third-level honorable martial artist. He was quite famous in the Blackwater River Basin. At this moment, he was about to attack, causing the entire place to tense up. Dongfang Fenghuang was trembling with anger. The other party was too shameless. Not only did he snatch the green sword, but he also wanted to snatch the red short sword in her hand. Did he really think she was easy to bully? If he wanted the short sword, he would have to exchange it with his life. Dongfang Fenghuang said through gritted teeth. In the next moment, the divine flames on her body danced and formed a phoenix shadow that enveloped her entire body. The power was terrifying. It swept out in all directions, causing the originally cold space to heat up. Countless ice melted rapidly in the surroundings, forming water droplets. Then they evaporated and formed a white mist that covered the entire space. This scene shocked the surrounding martial artists. It seemed that the girl in red was not a pushover. However, the bald man sneered disdainfully. "Little beauty, I admit that you are very strong. I'm afraid no one can completely subdue you in a one-on-one battle. But no matter how strong you are, you're only one person. You absolutely can't escape from the palm of our hands." The bald man laughed evilly, then turned to look at the scarred man. "Boss, hurry up and make a move. Capture this chick so that we don't have to worry too much." Yes, the scarred man nodded. He was originally a bandit, so he didn't care about the morals of the Jianghu, nor did he know how to fight alone. Moreover, this was a king's treasure trove. There were many treasures here, so he couldn't waste too much time here. He had to end this quickly. Seeing the scarred man nod his head, the bald man grinned. Then his aura erupted. Insolent laughter reverberated in the surroundings. Everyone was shocked and shook their heads. The White Sharks gang was a notorious bandit gang in the Heishui River region. This kind of person would not care about anything. Now, it seemed that with the 2 gang leaders taking action, the red-clothed girl would not be able to escape. Dongfang Fenghuang, gritted her teeth when she saw the two of them step forward. Her eyes were filled with determination. It would be difficult for her to deal with the two of them alone. However, even if she had to risk her life today, she would not let them have it easy. Thinking of this, she channeled all her spiritual energy. The flames outside her body became more vigorous. The red soft whip in her hand turned into a red dragon, roaring ferociously. The red short sword in her left hand also released a fierce aura. "Go, let's do this," the scarred man said coldly. Then his body moved violently, and like an afterimage, he quickly pounced forward. The long sword in his hand danced, forming a green sword screen that quickly shrouded the area in front of him. The bald man also roared and quickly followed up. He reached out his white, jade-like palm to grab the area in front of him. In an instant, a terrifying energy spread out in all directions. The surrounding martial artists all retreated. Dongfang Fenghuang also shouted and quickly swung the treasured weapon in her hand. An earth-shattering collision sounded, causing the entire hall to shake. However, the combined strength of the scarred man and the bald man was too terrifying. Dongfang Fenghuang could only hold on for a moment before she was sent flying. "Little beauty, I'm coming." Hideous laughter rang out as the two figures quickly approached. "Am I going to die here?" Dongfang Fenghuang revealed a trace of sadness. She was ready to fight to the death. She would not let them have their way. In the next moment, she was about to burn her spiritual energy. Suddenly, the void trembled. Countless amounts of cold air condensed and formed an iceberg above the hall. It pressed down on the scarred man and the bald man. Although the iceberg was not big, it emitted a monstrous chill, causing people to tremble uncontrollably. The scarred man and the bald man suddenly raised their heads, revealing a trace of shock. Then they roared and quickly attacked. Boom! A terrifying collision sound reverberated. The scarred man and the bald man were blocked, especially the bald man, who was forced back by the icy cold aura. What? We're saved? Dongfang Fenghuang's beautiful eyes were shocked. Looking at the iceberg that suddenly appeared, she breathed a sigh of relief. In front of her, the blue iceberg blocked the scarred man and the bald man. "Who is it? How dare you interfere with the White Sharks gang's business? Come out and face your death." The bald man was pushed back and roared madly. The scarred man's expression was also cold, his eyes looking around. "Who are you sneaking around? Come out." What White Sharks gang? Shameless indeed. Two big men bullying a little girl. Is your face grown on a dog's body? A sharp voice of mockery rang out and reverberated throughout the hall. Everyone was shocked. Not many people dared to say such things to the White Sharks gang. That mysterious person was really bold. The White Sharks gang members were also infuriated as they clamored. The scarred man and the bald man's expressions were gloomy. Their bodies emitted a cold, murderous aura that swept across the hall. "I don't care who you are. You're dead for interfering with the White Sharks gang's business. Is that so?" That voice sounded again. "But I think the ones who will die will be you." In the next moment, a figure appeared on the iceberg. It was a handsome young man. He sat on the iceberg and sneered as he looked below the White Sharks gang. "Kid, it's you." Seeing the other party, the scarred man and the bald man's pupils shrank as they cried out in surprise. But when they saw that the other party was alone, they sneered again. "Lin Xian." Dongfang Fenghuang also cried out. Her worried expression was replaced by joy. She didn't expect that it was Lin Xian who saved her. Lin Xian appeared in front of Dongfang Fenghuang in a flash. Looking at her pale face, he asked softly, "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Dongfang Fenghuang shook her head and said in a low voice, "If the two of us work together, we should be able to break through their siege. When I meet up with Senior Sister Bingling and the others, I will definitely take my revenge. There's no need to wait for them. I'll avenge you now," Lin Xian said with a smile. Then he turned around and looked at the White Shark's gang members. His expression turned cold. "Leave the treasured swords you took and hand over your storage rings. Then I can spare your lives. As for the two of you," he stared at the scarred man and the bald man, "if you want to live, then destroy your own cultivation." Chapter 874. Hearing this, the surrounding martial artists were in an uproar. All of them widened their eyes in disbelief. Many of them even suspected that their ears were damaged. A young man dared to threaten the White Shark's gang? Was his brain damaged? They thought that some powerful figure had arrived, but it turned out to be a lunatic. If that was the case, the White Shark's gang would suffer a miserable fate next time. Many people shook their heads. On the other side, the White Shark's gang members were furious. All of them stared at Lin Xian and roared crazily. They could not wait to kill him. On the other hand, the Scarface man and the bald man laughed crazily as if they had heard the funniest joke ever. "Kid, if all of your companions were here, we might not be afraid. But now that you're alone, how dare you speak such big words? You're courting death." The two stopped laughing, and their gazes turned cold. "You're the first one who dared to threaten the White Shark's gang. I let you know that there are some words that cannot be said. You'll have to pay the price for saying them." The Scarface man stared at Lin Xian with a strong murderous intent in his eyes. "Kid, how dare you meddle in the affairs of the White Shark's gang? I let you know what it means to wish you were dead," the bald man said fiercely. The two of them were furious and filled with murderous intent. It was obvious that they wanted to kill. The White Shark's gang had been fighting in the Blackwater River Zone for so many years, and no one had ever dared to look down on them. But now a Second Sky Honorable Realm kid dared to provoke them. He was courting death. "Second brother, you go and stall that stinky girl. I'll take care of this stinky kid myself." The Scarface man said coldly, "Don't worry, boss. I can still do this." The bald man nodded. He then looked at Eastern Phoenix and revealed a sinister smile. "Be careful." Eastern Phoenix's beautiful eyes showed a trace of worry. "Don't worry. They can't hurt me." Lin Xian smiled. His smile was filled with confidence. "What shameless boasting. I'll let you know my true strength in a while." The Scarface man took a step forward, and his aura rapidly increased. The green sword in his hand emitted a dazzling light like a green moon. It was extremely cold. "I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. I can only say that it was a very foolish decision to make a move." Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back, completely ignoring the murderous look in his opponent's eyes. The surrounding cultivators were also shocked as they shook their heads one after another. In their opinion, a young man at the Second Sky of the Honorable Realm who dared to challenge the Scarred Man was undoubtedly seeking death. The knife-scarred man revealed a sinister smile as he looked at the young figure. He licked his lips with his scarlet tongue as a cold glint flashed in his eyes. His reputation was not undeserved. In these years of fighting in the Blackwater River, many powerful opponents had died in his hands. There were at least 80, if not 100, little brats like him. He knew that these people were all young geniuses, and all of them had their eyes at the top of their heads, and didn't put anyone in their eyes. However, he had been fighting all year round, and his experience and strength were extremely powerful. He definitely wasn't someone a little brat could compare to. In the next moment, the Scarface man brandished his sword and slashed out. The sword, Qi, turned into a huge shark that quickly rampaged through the void towards Lin Xian. This was an attack that belonged to a third sky of the Honorable Realm. In addition to the power of a top-grade artifact, this attack was extremely powerful. Everyone was shocked and retreated one after another. They felt that the shark had turned into a real demon king that was emitting a terrifying aura. Looking at the shark sword Qi that was rushing towards him, Lin Xian's eyes also focused. A cold chill quickly gushed out from his body. A blue aura surged and covered his body, forming a ball of blue light. At the same time, the cold aura that was released caused the temperature of the entire space to continue to drop. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian activated the cold aura and the great dragon sword soul, striking out an ice phoenix. Buzz! The blue aura surged and quickly condensed in the void, forming a huge ice phoenix. The huge body emitted a cold aura that covered the entire hull. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Even the void couldn't withstand it and started to tremble violently. In the next moment, the blue ice phoenix collided with the shark sword chi. Boom! This attack was extremely terrifying. The crisscrossing sword chi intertwined and created a shocking explosion. The void shattered and countless cracks appeared on the ground, spreading out in all directions. A terrifying gust of wind swept in all directions, causing everyone to be unable to open their eyes. When everyone regained their vision and looked over again, they took a deep breath and their eyes were filled with shock. A terrifying, deep pit appeared in the center of the area. The scarred man and Lin Xian were standing on both sides of the pit. The two of them didn't seem to have suffered any injuries. This kid can actually withstand the attack of a third heaven supremacy? How is that possible? Countless people gasped in disbelief. One had to know that although the difference between a second heaven and a third heaven was only one heaven, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to break through such a level of suppression. Only peerless sky prides could challenge someone of a higher level. The handsome young man in front of them was also a sky pride. At the thought of this, everyone's mouths and tongues went dry. They were greatly shocked. Even the members of the White Sharks gang were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. The scarred man was also stunned. Then he sneered, "Sky Pride? No wonder you were so arrogant. However, you're unlucky to have met me. I've even killed Sky Prides before. Today, I'll use your blood as a sacrifice to my newly obtained sword. Humph, a third heaven supremacy is nothing to me. At least, you don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me," Lin Xian said proudly. His eyes flickered with confidence. Before this, he had already killed a third heaven supremacy. Now that he had a second martial soul, his strength had greatly increased. It wouldn't take much effort to kill his opponent. Moreover, time was precious in the king's treasure. He didn't want to waste any more time. Therefore, Lin Xian summoned his Ice Lotus martial soul. The space in front of him fluctuated. A blue lotus quietly bloomed, emitting a chilling aura that made one's soul tremble. With a wave of his hand, the blue lotus was raised into the air. It quickly grew in size and formed a huge shadow. It was like a giant blue mountain that floated above everyone. The blue aura surged and quickly descended. Every single one of it made people tremble. The scarred man's pupils shrank when he saw this. His heart sank. His opponent's strength made him wary. In the next moment, he summoned his martial soul as well. A white shark jumped out from the void. It opened its bloody mouth and let out a roar that shook the heavens and earth. However, Lin Xian didn't care about his opponent's actions. His fingers moved and quickly formed a seal. Then he blasted it forward. In the next moment, the lotus in the void rotated. The 9 petals trembled and formed 9 rays of blue aura. Each ray condensed into a blue ice sword that emitted an extremely strong sword chi. Ice Lotus sword formation. With a low shout, Lin Xian waved his hand. The giant blue ice lotus in the air trembled. 9 ice swords quickly pierced out and tore the void apart in an instant. Chapter 875. The terrifying sword chi rolled over, emitting a supreme energy that seemed to be able to pierce through everything. White shark slash. The scarred man roared and raised his strength to the maximum. Together with the white shark martial soul behind him, He quickly slashed out with his sword. Boom! In the next moment, the 9 streaks of sword chi collided with Su White Shark. An extremely powerful energy wave exploded and swept across the surroundings. The cold light of the sword chi swept out, and the entire hall was shaken violently by the terrifying impact. You want to compete with my martial soul? Go to hell! The scarred man sneered. Once again, a surge of chi gushed out from his body and poured into the white shark martial soul. Instantly, the white shark martial soul emitted a silver light and formed a powerful impact. However, he was still no match for the 9 ice swords in the empty palace. These ice swords were formed by the ice lotus martial soul and contained the power of the great dragon sword soul. It could be said that the attack was extremely powerful. Such power could definitely tear through everything. Therefore, in the next moment, the two did not last long before the huge white shark martial soul was pierced through by the ice swords. With his martial soul damaged, the scarred man suffered a backlash and spat out a mouthful of blood. His miserable voice reverberated as he was sent flying and slammed into the wall behind him. Everyone was stunned. They did not expect the scarred man, who was at the 3rd heaven of the honorable realm, to lose to a kid at the 2nd heaven. This was too shocking. It was completely beyond everyone's expectations, especially the gang members of the White Sharks gang. They all looked up in horror. The scarred man was their gang leader. In their eyes, he was a godlike existence and had never been defeated before. But now he had been defeated. Moreover, he had been defeated by a youth whose cultivation level was lower than his. This scene was like a bolt of lightning that struck them unconscious. Even the bald man who was fighting at the side cried out in horror. He could not believe that his big brother had been defeated. Dongfang Phoenix was also shocked. Although she knew that Lin Xian had defeated a 3rd heaven honorable realm, she was still shocked when she saw it again. In the void, Lin Xian looked at the injured, scarred man on the ground and sneered. His palm moved and quickly formed a seal. The blue lotus in the void rotated again. Clearly, he planned to continue attacking and kill his opponent. The Scarface man crawled up from the ground and quickly suppressed the injuries in his body. A similar look of shock appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, he saw that Lin Xian was about to continue attacking, and his heart trembled violently. "Damned brat, I'll kill you!" He roared at the sky as if he had gone mad. It was too sullen, too much of a failure. He was the leader of the White Sharks gang, a dignified 3rd-layer venerable. Yet, he couldn't even win against a young brat. It was truly shameful. With a furious roar, he once again activated the green sword in his hand and charged forward. The green sword chi shot out like a mountain, like a green river, quickly falling down in the air. At the same time, he roared angrily and quickly swallowed a pill to fuse with the injured white shark martial spirit. Roar! A terrifying roar rang out, shaking the entire area. Then, a shocking killing intent spread out. The Scarface man's aura suddenly skyrocketed, much stronger than before. Furthermore, his entire appearance had changed. White scales appeared on his body, and a gigantic silver fin appeared on his back. His originally thin face now had 2 fish gills, making him look extremely ferocious like a merman. Lin Xian frowned. His opponent's aura had skyrocketed, so much that even he was a little shocked. His ability to fuse with his martial spirit also surprised him. "Little bastard, die!" The scar-faced man roared angrily and pounced forward like a demon king. Boom! The ground couldn't withstand it, and abyss-like cracks appeared. A terrifying aura enveloped the entire space. Big Brother has fused with his martial spirit. Ha ha! Brat, you're dead meat. How dare you provoke the White Sharks gang? No one in this world can save you. Beside him, the bald man laughed loudly when he saw this scene. Lin Xian, be careful. Dongfang Phoenix was also shocked because her opponent's aura was too strong, far stronger than before. I'll take care of him now and snatch the green sword for you, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. In the next moment, his body shook, and like a ray of light, he rushed out. On his body, the red lotus armor condensed, forming a bright red armor that covered his entire body. Dragon-catching hand. He stretched out his palms, and an icy aura surged, forming 2 ice dragons that quickly spiraled forward. The ice dragons roared and tore through the void, arriving in front of the scar-faced man in an instant and binding him. Traces of icy aura quickly spread, forming a frost zone. Soon, the scar-faced man's speed slowed down. His entire body was covered with a thick layer of ice, and even his movements became sluggish. You're courting death. Open. He roared angrily, and the spiritual energy in his body exploded. With a terrifying force, he shattered all the ice. At the same time, he opened his mouth and spat out a ball of light that quickly rushed out. The ball of light was so fast that it sent Lin Xian flying. "Ha, brat! How dare you go against me? This is your fate." Seeing that his opponent was hit, the scar-faced man laughed loudly. His voice was filled with arrogance and pride. The disciples of the White Sharks gang behind him cheered to their heart's content again. The surrounding martial artists shook their heads and sighed. Sure enough, the scar-faced man was not to be trifled with. To be able to become the leader of the White Sharks gang and stand tall for so long, he definitely had a secret manual that could save his life. It seemed that the young prodigy was too careless. Hee, little beauty, your companion is already dead. You should obediently allow yourself to be captured. The bald man also had an evil smile on his face. Second brother, why are you wasting your breath on him? Hurry up and capture him. Once we complete the set of the rainbow dual swords, our strength will increase greatly and we will be able to obtain more treasures here. The scales on the scar-faced man's body flickered, and he looked like a murloc. Dongfang Phoenix's face was pale, but her beautiful eyes were filled with determination. Even if she were to die today, she would drag one of them down with her to avenge Lin Xian. Is this your strength? You're really nothing much. Suddenly, a mocking voice was heard, clearly reaching everyone's ears. What? That brat is still alive. Hearing this voice, everyone was shocked and turned their heads to look. Dongfang Phoenix's face was also filled with joy. That's great, Lin Xian is still alive. The scar-faced man's body also stiffened, and his face was filled with disbelief. Not dead? How is this possible? He quickly turned around, and his eyes were filled with coldness as he stared ahead. This brat is really lucky. He can't even be killed? The scar-faced man's expression was cold. He decided to strike again, and he must shatter his opponent. He opened his bloody mouth slightly, and a ball of white energy quickly condensed. However, when he saw the figure in front of him, he suddenly froze. The white ball of light that had condensed into the size of a fist also quickly faded. Impossible! This is absolutely impossible! The scar-faced man shook his head frantically, and his face was filled with shock. He could not believe what he had just seen. Chapter 876. The bald man also cried out in alarm, and his expression was filled with boundless fear. Impossible! How can you not be injured at all? It was too shocking. The energy ball just now was enough to kill a third heaven honorable. However, the other party was not injured at all after being hit head-on. It didn't make sense. Nothing is impossible. Your attack was too weak and couldn't break through my defense. Lin Xian stepped on an ice lotus and floated over quickly. Next, it's my turn to attack. His voice suddenly became sharp, and his expression was cold. In the next moment, a powerful sword aura exploded from his body, as if it could pierce through heaven and earth. What a powerful sword aura! Could he be a swordsman? Everyone was shocked and looked at the void in a daze. Originally, When they saw the other party using an ice martial soul, they thought he was an ice-type martial artist. However, at this moment, a powerful sword aura suddenly surged from his body. This was clearly a sword aura that only a powerful swordsman could possess. Swordsman, he was actually a swordsman. The scarred man's face was also filled with shock, and there was a trace of fear in his expression. Among all martial artists, swordsmen were famous for their powerful attacks. He didn't expect the other party to be a swordsman. Furthermore, from the aura of the sword aura, he was definitely a terrifying swordsman. Wait, I admit defeat. I'll give you the cyan rainbow sword. The scarred man suddenly shouted, "We were wrong this time. I apologize to you and return the cyan rainbow sword. Furthermore, none of you are injured. Why don't we stop here? Anyway, there are many treasures in this king's treasure. Why should we fight over a treasure aura and waste our time?" The scarred man said in a deep voice. What? Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe their ears. The dignified leader of the White Sharks gang was begging for mercy? The bald man also retreated and came to the scarred man's side. He gritted his teeth and said, "Big brother, why do you have to do this? Why don't we fight it out with them?" "Shut up, what do you know?" The scarred man shouted and then squeezed out a smile. "I'll give you the cyan rainbow sword now." He waved his arm and threw the cyan rainbow sword in his hand to Lin Xian. Seeing this scene, the White Sharks gang members were stunned. They didn't expect their gang leader to really beg for mercy. Lin Xian stretched out his hand and caught the sword. He played with it for a while before throwing it to Dongfang Fenghuang. "Lin Xian, thank you very much for this matter. I owe you a favor," Dongfang Fenghuang solemnly said as she received the green sword. "It's nothing," Lin Xian said with a smile. Then he turned to look at the White Sharks gang again, thinking about how to deal with these people. Seeing Lin Xian's gaze, the knife-scarred man's face stiffened. He then lowered his head slightly, but his eyes were spinning rapidly. He kept shouting in his heart, just a little more time. As long as he waited for them to arrive, he would be able to make a comeback. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the hall, and the ground trembled slightly. It was as if quite a few people were rushing over. Hearing that voice, the scarred man's face lit up and his eyes lit up. In the next moment, he took the bald man and retreated quickly. Once again, he laughed sinisterly. "Brat, don't think that this matter is over. Next, I'll let you know the consequences of offending the White Sharks gang." Lin Xian frowned. The other party's unpredictable changes made him suspicious. But in the next moment he understood, because at the entrance another group of people walked in, and they had a thick blood aura on them. Walking at the front was a burly man with a full beard. He had a strong aura, and every step he took made the ground tremble. Behind him, there was a huge purple blade on his back. "It's the Frenzied Blade Gang. They are here too." Seeing the group of martial artists, countless people exclaimed, and their eyelids twitched. The Frenzied Blade Gang has a good relationship with the White Sharks Gang. They must be here to help the White Sharks Gang. No wonder the knife-scarred man acted like that. He was trying to stall for time and wait for reinforcements. Seeing the people from the Frenzied Blade Gang, the bald man, and the rest of the White Sharks Gang laughed maniacally. Their eyes were filled with madness. They were too excited. The Frenzied Blade Gang was one of the bigger forces in the Blackwater River, and their strength was no weaker than theirs. Moreover, the relationship between the two parties was very good. With them here, they would definitely be able to get rid of that despicable brat. Despicable. Despicable. Dongfang Phoenix was so angry that her face turned pale. Lin Xian's face was also gloomy. The other party had actually called for reinforcements to attack them. It seemed like he would not be lenient this time. "Haha, Brother Lu Fei, are you all right?" The burly man with a full beard laughed. His voice was deep, and it caused the air to tremble. "I'm fine. I was careless this time and suffered a loss. However, with Brother Frenzied Blade, we can definitely kill that brat." The burly man with a full beard was called Frenzied Blade. His frenzied lion blade technique was very fierce. At the same time, he was also a third-level honorable realm. The scarred man, Lu Fei, believed that if the two of them worked together, they would definitely be able to kill that brat easily. At that time, not only would he seize the Qinghong Mother Sword, but he would also let Lin Xian know what it meant to live a life worse than death. Brat, how dare you offend me? I'll let you know what regret is. The scarred man, Lu Fei, looked at Lin Xian with endless madness in his eyes. On the side, the bearded, frenzied blade also stepped out. His aura was sharp, as if a heavenly blade had appeared, and it suppressed the surroundings. When the two third-level honorables worked together, the momentum created was extremely terrifying. The air in the entire hall seemed to have condensed, and it was extremely oppressive. The surrounding martial artists retreated with pale faces. Under such pressure, even breathing was difficult for them. If the surrounding people were in such a state, one could imagine how much pressure Lin Xian and Dongfang Phoenix were under. Lin Xian was still fine. He had the great dragon sword soul and could withstand the pressure. However, Dongfang Phoenix's face was slightly pale, and her forehead was covered in sweat. Seeing the situation, Lin Xian wanted to reach out and pull her over to share some of the pressure. However, in the next moment, a wave of energy exploded from Dongfang Phoenix's body. On her delicate body, flames danced and suddenly expanded, turning into a flaming phoenix. It enveloped her, and with a flap of its wings, it directly tore apart the huge pressure. At the same time, a wave of pressure also came from Dongfang Phoenix's body, causing people's hearts to tremble. That aura was not inferior to a third-level honorable realm at all. This is the power of the bloodline, someone exclaimed, and his face was full of shock. The power of the bloodline. The scarred man, Lu Fei, and Frenzied Blade's faces darkened, and their expressions turned grave. They did not expect that the other party had hidden such a move. However, so what? Their strength was not as simple as releasing pressure. Even if the other party had the power of the bloodline, they were not afraid. Lin Xian was also shocked. He was the closest to Dongfang Phoenix, and he could clearly feel the power of the bloodline. That surge of power was simply too powerful. Chapter 877. Dongfang Fenghuang used her bloodline power and unleashed a powerful force that shocked everyone around her. On her body, a huge shadow of a phoenix swayed, carrying with it a monstrous flame. Lin Xian also focused. Sword Qi gushed out from his body as if it was a peerless divine sword that could destroy everything. For powerful forces collided and instantly tore the void apart. A terrifying force spread out in all directions and swept through the entire hall. Buzz! A low sound came from the hall as if something had awakened. A cold aura gushed out and spread out in all directions, making people tremble. Lin Xian and the others were also stunned. They stopped fighting and looked around cautiously. They also felt threatened. Boom! A crimson light lit up like a lamp in the dark, instantly illuminating the entire space. It's alive! In the distance, someone exclaimed and trembled. He pointed in a direction of the hall with a horrified expression, as if he had discovered something terrifying. Everyone looked over and sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with shock. The female stone statue in front of them suddenly opened her eyes. Red light bloomed from the stone eyes, as if she had come to life. Not only her, but the other stone statues around her also did the same. Several gazes met in the air with a mysterious and eerie aura. Who dares disturb the Cemetery of Kings? Trespassers of the Cemetery of Kings die. A cold voice sounded without a trace of emotion, which made people shudder. Scar and Kuang Dao's expressions were grave as they stared ahead in bewilderment. Lin Xian also frowned as his eyes flickered. These stone people are alive? Dongfang Fenghuang was also shocked. She did not expect such a situation. Lin Xian did not say anything, but his brows were tightly knitted. Kid, run. At this time, the Crimson Dragon sent a voice transmission. It did not explain anything, but its voice was extremely solemn. Lin Xian's pupils shrank and his heart trembled violently. He had never seen the Crimson Dragon with such a solemn expression. Let's go. The next moment, he pulled Dongfang Fenghuang and retreated. Just as he moved, the cold voice sounded again. Trespassers die. Then, black fog gushed out from the stone statues like dark clouds, covering the sky and covering the sun. In an instant, it filled the entire sky. Roar! Shrill cries rang out from within the black fog. Countless crimson eyes lit up from behind the trees, filled with bloodlust as they looked at the crowd below. Boom! The black fog exploded and turned into black monsters that pounced down. For a time, countless screams sounded. All the martial artists who were touched by the black fog were severely injured. Those who were unlucky died on the spot. This sudden turn of events shocked everyone. Run! Monster! Countless people screamed as they ran outside. However, they were still a step too late. The entire hall was sealed. The martial artists closest to the stone statues bore the brunt of the intense attacks. Boom! Bang! Scar and Frenzied Blade were also attacked. 2 balls of black fog rushed towards them, and black arms reached out to grab them. It was as if they were reaching out from hell. Scram! Frenzied Sword roared as he pulled out the purple saber on his back and slashed at the black fog. Damn it, what the hell is this? Scar's expression was ugly. He did not expect such a strange thing to happen in the hall. *CK, this is so strange. He sent a black monster flying with a punch as he cursed in a low voice. Didn't you say there was a treasure? Where is it now? Frenzied Blade's expression was gloomy. It's in the hands of that girl. As long as we catch them, we can get it. Scar said, That's a top-tier spiritual artifact. It's absolutely precious. Why don't we catch that kid first? The two discussed and decided to make a move amidst the chaos. Lin Xian brought the Eastern Phoenix to the edge. He had been warned by the Crimson Dragon in advance and had retreated first, so he had not been attacked until now. However, this situation could not last long because the black fog in the hall was increasing. It had almost covered half of the hall, and the entire hall was sealed. At this rate, it would not be long before they were targeted by those strange black creatures. Damn it, what is that black fog? Lin Xian asked. Death Qi. It's something produced by the corpse of a powerhouse after they die, the Crimson Dragon said. Kid, let's go. I feel that there's a big guy here. Big guy? Lin Xian's mouth twitched as he prepared to leave. However, at this moment, Scar and Frenzied Blade flew over and blocked the path. Kid, hand over the rainbow sword. Frenzied Blade snorted. I'll let you know the consequences of offending me. Scar sneered. Idiot, Lin Xian scolded. He was not in the mood to fight with these two. If the Crimson Dragon was telling the truth, then he was in a dangerous situation. Don't fight with them. Find a chance to leave, he whispered to the Eastern Phoenix. Okay, the Eastern Phoenix nodded. Although she had used her bloodline power and her strength had greatly increased, she was still a girl. She was afraid of such strange things. Dongfang Quangren's body flickered as he tried to leave. Want to leave? Stay here. Frenzied Blade sneered. He already knew that the top-grade spiritual artifact was in his opponent's hands. How could he let him leave? Therefore, he quickly slashed with his blade. Bang! An ice lotus spun and released the power of ice, blocking the purple blade. You want to touch her? You'll have to ask me first. Lin Xian stood in front of him. You're courting death. Get lost. Scar snorted as he waved his hand. A white shark phantom appeared and bit at Lin Xian. Buzz! A sword light flashed and split the opponent's attack apart. Frenzied Blade, let's work together and take down this kid first. Scar said, anyway, this place is sealed. That girl won't be able to escape for a while. Okay. Frenzied Blade nodded. Then he stared at Lin Xian, his eyes flashing. Kid, how dare you interfere with my business? You'll die a horrible death. After saying that, he waved his purple blade and slashed at Lin Xian. Boom! A great battle broke out. Lin Xian challenged 2 third-level sovereigns by himself. The terrifying aura caused the space to shake as if it was about to split open. He activated his Ice Lotus Martial Soul to restrain Scar and used his Great Dragon Sword Soul to fight against Frenzied Blade. For a moment, he actually blocked the attacks of the two. What? The people who were escaping in the distance were shocked when they saw the scene. Is he still human? A second heaven venerable blocked the attack of 2 third heaven venerables? No one would believe it if they said it out loud. Scar and Frenzied Blade's faces turned ugly, especially Frenzied Blade. This was his first time fighting with Lin Xian. He didn't know how strong Lin Xian was, but his opponent's aura was only at the 2nd level. Obviously, he didn't put him in his eyes. However, he couldn't accept the current situation. Kid, die! Frenzied Blade roared and used his ultimate skill, Mad Lion Slash. Chapter 878. Mad Lion Slash. A purple sword light flashed and quickly slashed out, forming a purple lion in the air and pouncing towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian pulled out the Wind Shadow Sword and swept it out. A golden lightning bolt surged and exploded in the air. Immediately after, another sword slashed out. The fiery red sword Qi carried monstrous flames that burned everything as it slashed towards the opponent. In an instant, Lin Xian had slashed out twice. It was extremely terrifying. Frenzied Blade used his strength to block the 2 swords. He was extremely angry. Although the opponent's cultivation was not as high as his attack power was too strong. Moreover, the opponent seemed to have mastered many types of attacks, making him flustered every time. Just as Frenzied Blade blocked the 2-sword Qi and was about to continue attacking, a few screams came from afar, causing his expression to change. The screams came from his Frenzied Blade Association. It was obvious that the gang members he brought were injured. Frenzied Blade suddenly turned around and saw more than 10 Frenzied Blade Association martial artists covered in black fog and turned into blood. His eyes immediately turned red. Die for me! He gave up on Lin Xian and slashed out. A huge purple sword light tore through the sky and slashed towards the black fog in the distance. The knife-scarred man's expression also changed because the White Sharks Association's members were also decreasing. Although he could resist it, the ordinary gang members couldn't resist it at all. No, we can't stay here for long. The knife-scarred man's heart was heavy. He glanced at Lin Xian with complicated feelings. Just as he was about to attack with all his strength, a powerful and strange aura erupted from behind him. A huge stone statue came to life, surrounded by black fog like a demon from hell. A huge stone hand reached out and grabbed downwards. Wherever it passed, no martial artist escaped. Ah, no. The martial artists screamed and cried for their parents. They were extremely regretful. They did not expect the king's treasure to be so dangerous. However, there was no time to regret. In an instant, hundreds of martial artists were turned into blood, missed by the stone hand. Boom! Another stone man came to life, holding the stone sword in his hand and slashing down quickly. The direction was where the Frenzied Blade Association was. Damn it! Frenzied Blade looked at the stone sword with a gloomy face. He roared and slashed down with his sword. Boom! The two collided, and the entire hull almost split apart. The momentum was terrifying to the extreme. Puff! Frenzied Blade retreated, his eyes filled with horror. His opponent's strength had already surpassed his. Damn it, what the hell is this thing? He was abnormally furious. However, there was no time for him to think. In the next moment, his opponent raised his stone sword again. One by one, the stone statues came to life, and with a terrifying aura they charged at the crowd. Lin Xian's scalp went numb. His figure flashed, and he regrouped with the Eastern Phoenix. "Let's go!" He slashed out with his sword, and when he looked at the screen of light formed by the black fog, he discovered that he couldn't cut it open. In that instant, Lin Xian was taken aback and prepared to use his great dragon's sword soul. "I'll do it." Dongfang Feng Huang stepped forward. At this time, she could no longer hide her strength. The flames on his body danced, forming a flaming phoenix. With a mysterious flame, he charged forward. Boom! Chi! In the next moment, a hole was burned into the strange black fog light screen. "Let's go!" The two of them didn't delay and quickly rushed out. "There's an exit." When the others saw this, they also shouted crazily and ran toward the hole that was burned open by the flames. The scene was very chaotic because the crowd realized that the exit was slowly shrinking. Instantly, countless people became angry and even attacked to kill the people in front of them. They had no choice. The black light screen was very strange, and ordinary people couldn't break it open. The exit in front of them was their only way out. "Get lost!" An angry shout was heard, followed by a purple sword ray that slashed down, sending the martial artists in front flying. Blood splattered everywhere, and it was a shocking sight. Boom! Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb, and they quickly dodged. Many people roared and turned back, but when they saw that it was Frenzied Blade who attacked, they immediately lost their temper. They had no choice. A rank 3 honorable realm martial artist was extremely terrifying, and no one could stop him. Frenzied Blade and Scar came near the hole and used all their strength to tear it open. Then they led their subordinates and quickly left. The others followed behind, looking terrified. Roar! Behind them, the black fog saw that the crowd had fled the hall and immediately roared angrily. Some of them retreated. However, there were also some that followed out of the hall and continued to chase. Among them, many black fog rushed out and formed the shadow of a woman, chasing after Lin Xian and Dongfang Feng Huang. Lin Xian's face was gloomy. He and Dongfang Feng Huang quickly flew through the passage, but the black fog followed closely behind. "Oh no, these damn things are chasing after us." Dongfang Feng Huang's face was pale. Lin Xian turned back and saw the blurry shadow. He found that it was very similar to the woman in the hall with her palm in the air, and immediately understood. "This black fog is coming for the Qinghong mother-son sword." Lin Xian said, What should we do?" Dongfang Feng Huang was anxious. She had obtained this treasure with great difficulty, and she didn't want to lose it here. "Don't worry. Look at this black fog. It shouldn't be very strong. If we work together, we might be able to get rid of it." "Okay." Dongfang Feng Huang nodded. Then, the two of them stopped and quickly attacked. A flaming phoenix attacked, lighting up the entire space and rushing toward the black fog shadow behind them. Lin Xian also used the great dragon sword. The shocking sword Qi was like a rainbow, slashing toward the back. The two of them attacked with extremely powerful attacks. Just as they were about to destroy the other party, a furious roar suddenly came from the hall in the distance. It was like a demon's voice, causing people's hearts to tremble. "Oh no, it seems like a big guy is coming out." Lin Xian's pupils shrank. "You go first." Dongfang Feng Huang's face was pale. Then she nodded heavily and said, "You must come back alive." "Don't worry." Lin Xian's sword Qi slashed toward the back. Seeing this, Dongfang Feng Huang turned into a flaming phoenix and quickly flew into the distance. She knew that Lin Xian was powerful and had countless trump cards. He should be safe. However, she would only distract him if she stayed here, so it was better to leave quickly. Seeing Dongfang Fenghuang and Lin Xian's eyes gradually became fierce. He looked at the black fog behind them with a dignified expression. Ah, help! Behind them, a martial artist screamed in horror and ran toward Lin Xian. You're courting death. Lin Xian's face darkened. Originally, the black fog behind them did not come toward them, but now it was attracted by the martial artist. It was obvious that the other party wanted to drag Lin Xian down with them. Lin Xian's eyes were cold. He would not show mercy to those who wanted to frame him. However, before he could make a move, the black fog behind him turned into a terrifying palm and slammed down quickly. Boom! With one hit, the second-level honorable realm turned into a bloody mist. Seeing this, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. The black palm was more terrifying than he had imagined. Buzz, buzz, buzz! The space trembled as the black palm floated. A bloody mouth appeared in the middle of the palm and swallowed the second-level honorable realm's bloody mist. Sizzling sounds could be heard. Then, another eyeball appeared above the bloody mouth. It was incomparably red and stared at Lin Xian. Chapter 879. A bloody mouth and a blood-red eyeball appeared on the palm of the black hand. It was extremely strange as it stared coldly at Lin Xian. Boom! In the next instant, it exploded with terrifying power and quickly grabbed at Lin Xian. The palm caused the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. The wind howled furiously, and it was extremely terrifying. Even a third heaven honorable realm would be turned into a bloody mist if they were hit. Lin Xian's scalp went numb. The attack was beyond what he could withstand. He used his movement skill and dodged quickly. At the same time, he summoned the Red Lotus armor to defend himself. Boom! Lin Xian felt his blood boil after being hit by the palm. His entire body felt like it was about to split apart. The Red Lotus armor on his body dimmed as well. So powerful! He was shocked, and his face was extremely solemn. Hiss! The black hand appeared again, and the bloody mouth revealed a mocking smile. It was obviously extremely sinister, as if it was mocking the weak human in front of it. It seems like I can only use that move. Lin Xian's face was gloomy and his eyes flickered. He activated the great dragon sword soul with all his might and then took it out. Buzz! The void trembled and shattered. A green sword shadow appeared in front of him. It was extremely blurry, but it carried a monstrous aura. The aura was too terrifying and far exceeded that of a third heaven honorable realm. Even a fourth heaven honorable realm would not be able to compare to it. It was as if a peerless divine sword had appeared in the world. Just its aura alone could easily tear the void apart. The appearance of the green sword shadow made the black hand uneasy. A tinge of fear appeared in its eyes, and it let out a low roar. Its voice was filled with uneasiness. In the next instant, it suddenly became extremely violent and charged at Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly and slowly held the green sword shadow in his hand. Endless rays of light exploded and dyed the entire world green. The void shattered, and a ray of sword light slashed down silently and instantly hit the black hand. It was as if nothing existed in the world except for the green sword shadow. Only after a period of time had passed did a terrifying sound. The entire great earth split in half. The void destroyed, shattering like a mirror. The black hand let out a shrill cry that was like a demonic sound, destroying all the surrounding mountains and trees. However, it still couldn't change anything. A sword mark appeared on its body, splitting it in half. Whoosh! The large black hand fell to the ground and turned into a black handkerchief. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian grasped the black handkerchief in his hand. Then he let out a heavy sigh. His face was a little pale. He waved his hand and recalled the green sword shadow. Using the great dragon sword soul, consumed too much of his energy, but its power was also very terrifying. Even a fourth heaven venerable expert might not be able to withstand that attack. With a flicker, Lin Xian arrived at a safe place and sat down cross-legged to recover. In this king's treasure, there were dangers everywhere. He had to maintain his peak state at all times. Fortunately, he had a variety of natural treasures on him, so he quickly recovered. He took out the black handkerchief again and studied it curiously. There was a powerful aura on it. This is a treasure. It should be able to be activated. Give it a try. The Crimson Dragon said. Lin Xian was tempted. He injected his spiritual power, and the black handkerchief emitted light and floated in the sky. Countless black lights drooped down like a black river, surging and roaring. It was extremely terrifying. The black lights formed a sealed space that could control people. Lin Xian raised his hand and slashed at the black lights. Immediately there was a rumbling sound, but it didn't cut through. Good stuff! His eyes lit up, and a smile appeared on his face. His attack was equivalent to a third heaven venerable. The attack just now didn't pose a threat to the black lights. Didn't that mean that the black handkerchief could trap a third heaven venerable? Thinking of this, he smiled again. With this, he had one more trump card. In the future, even if he faced two third heaven venerables, he wouldn't be afraid. His body swayed, and he went on his way again. Whoosh! In front of him, there was a sound of air being torn apart, and a fiery red light flew over quickly. Then a delicate voice sounded. It was Lin Xian. Whoosh! The flaming figure stopped, and Dongfang Phoenix's delicate body was revealed. She looked at Lin Xian with her beautiful eyes. You're fine. That's great. Let's go and meet up with Bing Ling and the rest. Lin Xian smiled. Okay. Dongfang Phoenix nodded. The two of them left side by side quickly. Along the way, they saw countless battles and countless buildings. However, they ignored them and went deeper into the forest. In front of them, the forest gradually became sparse and a plain appeared. However, the color was still white. When they arrived at the plain, the number of martial artists around them increased again. Countless people flew forward with burning eyes. In the sky, there was a blurry black shadow. Seeing that black shadow, Lin Xian and Dongfang Phoenix also sped up. Soon, they realized that the blurry black shadow was a huge cauldron. It stood on the ground like a giant mountain. The closer they got, the more they could feel the terrifying aura emitted from the black cauldron. It made the entire space become oppressive. Moreover, there was a sense of vicissitudes on the cauldron, as if it was lamenting the ruthlessness of time. The huge black cauldron had 3 legs and 2 handles. The cauldron's body was painted with various rare and lifelike beasts. It looked as if they would jump out at any time. Countless martial artists gathered around the black cauldron. They were densely packed like locusts. Those martial artists were divided into countless groups. From the sky, they looked like terraced fields. They were clearly separated. It was obvious that they belonged to different forces. Lin Xian and Dongfang Phoenix's arrival did not attract the attention of others. That was because there were martial artists flying over at every moment. Moreover, the two of them were second-level honorables. They were not particularly outstanding. Therefore, the martial artists did not notice them at all. However, there was a power that let out a cry of alarm. They were from Blackwater City, where Xiao Mei was. When they saw that Lin Xian was still alive, they were shocked. Especially Grandma Silver. Her wrinkled, old face was filled with disbelief. That was the ice underground. Even a third-level honorable would freeze to death. However, a second-level honorable martial artist had come out alive. When she thought of this, her face turned gloomy. That was because she had sent a martial artist to guard that place. Although that martial artist was also a second-level honorable, he had the black flag and could definitely capture and kill that brat. However, the brat had appeared before her eyes. This meant that the person she had sent was most likely dead. Grandma Silver looked at the sky with a gloomy face. She was not sad for the martial artist, but the black flag in the martial artist's hand was very important to her. If she lost it, it would be very troublesome. What a piece of trash! You can't even catch a little thief. Grandma Silver's eyes were gloomy. Xiao Mei had also noticed Lin Xian. Her seductive face was stunned for a moment. However, she soon sneered. He's not dead? That's great. This way, I can take the yang energy. Xiao Mei was extremely excited. With the yang energy of the brat, she would definitely be able to break through. Chapter 880. Xiao Mei looked at Lin Xian, who was flying in the sky, and smiled evilly. Kid, you're fine. That's great. With you, I can break through. Grandma Silver, you must catch him this time. Xiao Mei's voice rang out, bringing with it a sharp killing intent, which immediately alerted the martial artists in the surroundings. It couldn't be helped. She was the daughter of the city governor of Blackwater City, and every action of hers was watched by a myriad of people. A person that could make her emit killing intent was probably not simple. Countless people looked up and paid close attention. Don't worry, Mississippi. I'll catch him this time. Grandma Silver's voice was hoarse, and it was filled with killing intent. Then her body swayed, and she rushed into the void. Her actions naturally attracted Lin Xian's attention. He saw her greedy and cruel eyes, and he squinted his eyes. Since they wanted to die, he did not mind sending them on their way. Kid, come here and die. A terrifying voice sounded, shaking the surroundings. I was wondering who it was. So it's you, old dog. You're really haunting me. Lin Xian sneered. Everyone was in an uproar. This was the first time someone dared to talk about Blackwater City like that. Could he be a peerless expert? Countless people looked up, but when they saw Lin Xian's figure and cultivation, they were stunned. A second sky honorable realm brat? Although it was amazing to reach the second sky honorable realm at such a young age, it was not enough to go against Blackwater City. Who was it that gave him such guts? Many people sneered and shook their heads, thinking that he was courting death. You have a sharp tongue. When I catch you, I'll knock all your teeth out. Grandma Silver's face was gloomy, and a terrifying aura was emitted from her body. It's them again. Dongfang Phoenix's face turned cold. Do you want to attack together? Let me. Lin Xian said. Under the watchful eyes of so many people, they won't dare to attack together. I'm fine with an old witch. Then be careful, Dongfang Phoenix said. She did not doubt Lin Xian's strength. Don't worry. Lin Xian smiled. He then turned around and looked at Grandma Silver. His face, which was originally smiling, turned cold at this moment. There was a trace of coldness on his face, which was shocking. I have to say that you're really lucky. You didn't freeze to death in such a cold place. You're really lucky. Good luck. Lin Xian sneered and didn't answer. The other party continued. However, your brain is not very good. If I were you, I would have run away long ago. And you still dare to come here? I'll let you know the consequences of going against Blackwater City. So much nonsense. Are you done? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Upon hearing this, the crowd below was stunned. They didn't dare to believe that a level 2 venerable realm cultivator and a level 3 venerable realm cultivator were talking. You're courting death. Silver Grandma was also furious. She suddenly swung her snake-headed walking stick and smashed it forward. Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, he threw out a black handkerchief. The black handkerchief expanded in the wind, and like a dark cloud, it quickly covered the sky. Buzz! In an instant, it was above Silver Grandma's head. It quickly cast rays of dark light, forming a sealed cage and trapping her. Humph, such a small trick. Break! Silver Grandma sneered and waved her hand forward. Rumble. A terrifying sound rang out, shaking the surroundings. However, the dark light only shook violently and didn't break. What? Everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it. That was the attack of a third-level honorable. How could it not break? What exactly was that thing? How could it be so strong? Silver Grandma's face darkened. She didn't expect the cage to be stronger than she had imagined. Damn brat, where did you get such a treasure? Her eyes were filled with jealousy. Previously, Lin Xian didn't have it. Now that he had taken out such a treasure, it was very likely that he found it here. How lucky! However, this treasure is mine. Silver Grandma's face was ferocious and her eyes were filled with greed. However, Lin Xian sneered. You can have fun by yourself. After saying that, he quickly rushed downwards. That direction was where Xiao Mei was. Brat, how dare you? Silver Grandma was furious. She didn't expect that Lin Xian would dare to attack her Mississippi. Xiao Mei was even more shocked. Her eyelids twitched. She had seen how strong Lin Xian was. She was no match for him. All of you attack, she screamed. Yes. Immediately, the 5 people behind her rushed into the sky. Each of them took out a large flag and waved it in the wind. Brat die. The 5 of them shouted as powerful spiritual energy exploded from their bodies. Lin Xian's face darkened. He had been trapped by them before. How could he let them do as they wished this time? With a cold snort, he clenched his fist, and a similarly black flag appeared in his hand. It emitted a monstrous aura. What? The black dragon flag? Xiao Mei's face changed and became ferocious. How dare you kill my people? I want you dead. Go! Take his yang energy and kill him. Xiao Mei screamed. The 5 of them flew quickly, bringing along a monstrous black fog to surround Lin Xian. Wang. Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul. His arm turned into a real dragon, and he quickly threw out the black flag. Bang! The void was pierced as the black flag turned into a black ray of light. It was extremely sharp and quickly pierced through one of the 5 people. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, the martial artist was pierced through by the black flag and nailed to the ground. The entire ground cracked, and countless cracks spread out. It was a terrifying scene. Blood flowed out. It was a ghastly sight. The surrounding people were stunned. They did not expect this young man in the 2nd heaven to be so terrifying. He trapped a 3rd heaven-honored realm martial artist in one move and broke the Blackwater City's dragon array in another. This is too strong, isn't it? With the array broken, the other 4 people could not stop Lin Xian. Lin Xian stared coldly at Xiao Mei. You, what do you want to do? Xiao Mei's body trembled. She felt as though she had been pierced through. Below, countless warriors of the Blackwater City stepped forward and surrounded Xiao Mei, looking at the sky with vigilance. Facing these people, Lin Xian was not afraid. He said coldly, "This is not the first time you have tried to kill me. Do you think I will let you go?" He stepped on a sword ray and rushed downwards. Wherever he passed, no one could stop him. He pointed out a finger, and a sword ray condensed at the tip of his finger and shot out. Whoosh! The sword ray pierced through the void and arrived in front of Xiao Mei. It was about to kill her. Bang! At this moment, the void fluctuated, forming a spiraling black dragon that blocked the sword light. Not only that, the black dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws. Its roar shook the sky and burst forth with a powerful force. With a roar, it forced Lin Xian back. Puff! Countless martial artists vomited blood. They were terrified. That sound was too terrifying. They could not withstand it. Lin Xian was forced back. He was shocked and looked ahead cautiously. To be able to force him back with a single sound, the person who came was definitely terrifying. To be able to have such strength and help Blackwater City, the other party's identity was self-evident. Chapter 881. Black Water City's City Lord? Since you're here, why hide? Lin Xian said coldly. Lin Xian's voice spread out clearly. Countless people were shocked. The Black Water City's city lord was here too? Especially the other two forces. They were all shocked, and their faces were gloomy. If this was true, they were in danger this time. Because the Black Water City's city lord was a fourth heaven honorable, he had an absolute advantage here. Many cultivators stretched their necks and looked in the direction of Black Water City. At this moment, a deep laugh sounded. You're young, but your eyesight is not bad. That's right, it's me. As the words fell, a figure walked out from behind the Blackwater City's crowd. This person walked with a majestic gait. His aura was extraordinary and his appearance was ordinary, but there was a majestic aura around him. What was even more shocking was that his aura was too powerful. It swept through the entire area and made people's hearts tremble. Fourth heaven. This was the aura of a fourth heaven honorable. Countless people exclaimed. They were now sure that this person was really the Blackwater City city lord. The Iron Sword sect and Huangfu family's faces were ugly. They did not expect the Blackwater City city lord, Shaoli, to really come. Lin Xian's pupils shrank and his expression turned solemn. A fourth heaven honorable was indeed powerful. Just the aura alone made his body tense. Father! Xiao Mei exclaimed, her face filled with joy. Father, that kid is too despicable. Kill him. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. If Xiao Li attacked, the youth would definitely die. After all, a fourth heaven honorable was too powerful. It was not something a second heaven honorable could fight against. Xiao Li looked around and saw the imprisoned Grandma Silver in the distance. He revealed a disdainful smile and waved his hand, causing a vast force to surge out. Bang! In the distance, the black light formed by the black handkerchief was shattered and scattered on the ground. The black handkerchief trembled slightly and flew back to Lin Xian's hand. City Lord! Grandma Silver's figure flashed and arrived in front of Shaoli. Shaoli nodded slightly, then looked at Lin Xian. Do you want to kill yourself to apologize, or do you want me to do it? This voice contained an irresistible force. Everyone was shocked. They knew that the young man was really going to be in trouble. Dongfang Finghuang's pretty face was also pale, her beautiful eyes filled with worry. Lin Xian was also frowning. He didn't have much of a chance of winning against a fourth-rank Venerable Realm cultivator. Of course, it was impossible for the other party to kill him. Therefore, the only thing they could do now was to avoid the brunt of the attack. In a flicker, Lin Xian used the illusory demon steps and flew to the side. You want to leave? Don't you think you're too naive? Xiao Li's face was full of disdain as he pointed out a finger. Roar! The black spiritual energy converged and formed a huge Jiao dragon. It flew out and attacked Lin Xian. The black dragon roared, shattering the void and striking Lin Xian in an instant. However, Lin Xian's figure soon disappeared into the void. After image, many people exclaimed, their eyes filled with disbelief. It was too shocking. A young man at the second heavenly layer of the Exalt realm was actually able to escape the attack of a fourth heavenly layer of the Exalt realm. So fast! The experts from the Iron Sword sect and the Huangfu clan were shocked as well. After image, Xiao Li was taken aback. This speed is a little surprising. However, do you think you can escape from me with that? Black dragon seals the sky. Xiao Li stretched out his palm and a huge black dragon shadow covered the sky. It was dark and had a terrifying aura. 5 black Jiao dragons circled around and formed a huge palm that quickly slammed down. Wherever it passed, the void shattered. It was too terrifying. Countless people trembled. The power of a fourth heavenly layer of the Exalt realm was too strong. It was not something they could withstand. Lin Xian was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. He felt a strong pressure, and the wind from the palm alone was enough to make his blood boil. Boom! In the next moment, he activated the Red Lotus armor and covered his body. At the same time, he activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul and released a stunning sword chi. Boom! Poof! The terrifying power collided, and the sword chi shattered into pieces. Lin Xian was sent flying. However, he was not injured. The Red Lotus armor had blocked most of the attack, and he had neutralized the rest. Moreover, his sword chi was not useless. At least it had slowed down the Jiao dragon palm in the sky. What? He's not dead again? Everyone was shocked. This was too unexpected. They could not believe it. Xiao, Mei, and the rest were also shocked. Luck, it must be luck. How could this brat block the attack of a fourth heavenly layer venerable? Seeing that Lin Xian was not dead, Xiao Li's face fell. He was embarrassed that he could not kill a second heavenly layer venerable brat in 2 moves. Humph! He snorted and was ready to attack seriously. He wanted to kill Lin Xian in 1 move. A terrifying aura gathered on his body. It was as if countless Jiao dragons were roaring and intertwining with each other. Seeing that his opponent's aura had increased, Lin Xian's face fell. His opponent wanted to kill him again and again. Did he really think that he was easy to bully? Lin Xian's eyes were cold. He was ready to use the Great Dragon's Sword Soul to fight with his opponent. Even if he died, he would drag his opponent down with him. Lin Xian was about to attack when suddenly there were a few sounds in the distance. It was accompanied by a shout. Don't you think it's embarrassing for an elder to attack a junior? If you attack again, don't blame Senma College for taking revenge in the future. The voice spread out, and martial artists appeared near Lin Xian. There were 3 young martial artists. One of them was a girl, and the other 2 were young. Senmu College. They are from Senmu College. The crowd was shocked and then exclaimed. No wonder. Only the prodigies of Senmu College can fight against a 4th heavenly layer venerable warrior with a 2nd heavenly layer cultivation. Junior brother Lin, junior sister Dongfang, are you okay? Bing Ling asked. We're fine. Lin Xian and Dongfang Phoenix shook their heads. At the same time, they heaved a sigh of relief. It was still difficult for him to fight against a 4th heavenly layer venerable warrior. It seemed that he had to continue cultivating. Hee, so you are from Senmu College? I didn't know. Shaoli said calmly, but he snorted in his heart. Now that the other party had come to help, he didn't want to attack. Moreover, there were so many people here, and the other party's identity was known. If he really attacked, Senmu College might hear about it in the future. It would be difficult to deal with if he angered that kind of big shot. Now that you know, why don't you stop? Bing Ling snorted. She was in a blue dress. Her appearance was beautiful, and her temperament was unparalleled. She was a real beauty. Such an elegant and peerless beauty scolded the people of Blackwater City in public. That scene was extremely spectacular. Hearing the other party's scolding, Xiao Li's face darkened. The martial artists of Blackwater City behind him also glared. No one had ever dared to scold them like this. If the other party wasn't a disciple of Senmu College, they would have been dead by now. Mayor, what should we do now? Grandma Silver asked. Chapter 882. City Lord, what should we do? Grandma Silver asked. Let them go for now. They're just a few insects. They can't do anything. Once we get the treasure, we'll get rid of them. Then Xiao Li muttered to himself. According to the news, the treasure is in this black cauldron. But what exactly is it? Why didn't the higher-ups tell me? Is this the king's treasure? But there's only a big black cauldron and nothing else? Xiao Mei asked curiously. This is indeed the location of the king's treasure. Niwa of Gojoseon died here. As for why you can't see it, that's normal. That's because there's an extremely strong seal here. Only by breaking it can we enter the real king's treasure. Xiao Li said slowly, "Just wait. Soon the seal will appear on its own. At that time, I'll have a way to break it." After he finished speaking, a cold smile appeared in Xiao Li's eyes. It was as if breaking the extremely powerful seal in the legends was not a difficult task for him. Xiao Mei and the others didn't ask any more questions. Instead, they obediently waited at the side. However, she still looked at Lin Xian and the others and made a throat-slitting gesture. "Just you wait. When I'm done with my business, it'll be your time to die." Xiao Mei snorted in her heart. Seeing that Xiao Li didn't make any more moves, Bing Ling and the others heaved a sigh of relief. After all, a fourth heaven venerable was a terrifying existence. If he really wanted to make a move, none of them would be able to stop him. Luckily, he was afraid of their identities and didn't dare to make a move. All right, he's afraid of our identities and won't make a move for the time being. But everyone should still be careful. Bing Ling said in a low voice. The 5 of them gathered together and found an empty space to land. They waited patiently. As night fell, the temperature dropped. Luckily, everyone was strong enough to resist the cold with their spiritual energy. At midnight, a ball of light rose into the sky like a bright moon. When it reached the top of the sky, the light it cast happened to cover the huge black cauldron. In the next moment, the carvings of strange beasts on the cauldron started to emit a faint light. In the end, it was as if they had come alive. They swam around the cauldron as if they would jump out at any moment. A series of low voices rang out from the black cauldron. Following that, the entire cauldron was filled with mysterious runes, releasing a peculiar light. The next moment, a mysterious aura spread out in all directions. Everyone was shocked. They stood up one after another and looked ahead. Lin Xian and the other 4 also opened their eyes. Their gazes flickered as they looked ahead. A king's treasure. This is the aura of a king. Bing Ling's voice trembled when she felt this aura. Inscriptions flickered on the huge black cauldron in front of him. Light intertwined in the air, distorting the surrounding space. Then mysterious runes appeared around the black cauldron, sealing it like a seal. The power emanating from the seal was extremely terrifying. It was even more terrifying than that of a 4th-level venerable realm cultivator. A casual strike from him would be enough to annihilate everyone present. There's actually a seal. Everyone was shocked. Fortunately, they didn't act rashly before. Otherwise, they might have suffered a calamity. As expected of a king's treasure, even the seal left behind was so powerful. Just this aura alone was unbearable. Bing Ling said in a low voice. Seeing the changes in the black cauldron, the surrounding martial artists all watched silently. None of them acted rashly. However, human greed was limitless. Under such a huge temptation, even though there was a terrifying aura in front of them, there were still people who were ready to act. After a moment of silence, someone made a move. This was a group of more than 20 people. Although there weren't any 3rd-level venerables, there were 7 or 8 2nd-level venerables. The remaining dozen were all 1st-level venerables. When such a group of people gathered together, it was extremely terrifying. When these people saw that no one made a move, they took the initiative to step forward and prepared to give it a try. After all, if they succeeded, they would be the first to enter the king's treasure. The benefits they would obtain would be huge. Under such a temptation, even if their lives were in danger, they were willing to take the risk. In the next moment, more than 20 martial artists attacked together, covering the sky and earth. The attacks were extremely terrifying. They were like a torrent of the spirit sea that surged forward. Bang! A violent collision sound was heard. Shocking energy was vast and mighty, and the mysterious seal rippled like boiling water. However, the power of those people was soon reflected back. The energy that was reflected back was even more terrifying. The momentum was shocking, and it directly sent the 20 venerables flying. What? Seeing this scene, Everyone was shocked. 20 venerables attacked together, but they couldn't break the frost seal at all? As expected of the king's treasure. It was indeed powerful. Yang Lin exclaimed. In front, the 20 venerables fell to the ground and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. They were all in a sorry state and looked terrified. This scene caused the surrounding martial artists to fall into silence again. The power of the mysterious seal ahead was beyond their expectations. At this moment, an old man stood out and said loudly, I'm sure everyone has seen how terrifying this seal is. Even 20 venerables can't break it. It seems that our forces can't break the defense at all if we act alone. Instead of that, why don't we join forces and attack together? Only then will we have hope of opening the seal. Otherwise, we can only stand here and watch. We won't get anything. Hearing this, everyone fell silent and thought to themselves, the gray-robed old man was right. If they didn't join forces, they probably wouldn't be able to enter at all. Soon, the small groups reached an agreement and prepared to attack. That was because if they didn't act now, they would really have no chance if those large forces attacked. One had to know that their groups only had 20 to 30 people, and they couldn't compare to a colossus like Blackwater City. Now was their only chance to enter the king's treasure. Soon, countless martial artists soared into the sky and formed a group, preparing to attack. The sky immediately darkened, and it was dark. It was very shocking. There were more than 100 teams, and there were 2,000 to 3,000 people in total. They stood in the sky together, and they were densely packed like dark clouds. The auras of the venerables merged into one, forming a huge energy tide. That aura was too powerful. Even a 4th-level venerable would find it difficult to resist. Should we attack? Yang Lin asked. They were also a small group. If they didn't join now, it would be too late. The king's seal isn't so easy to break. Let's wait a little longer. Lin Xian shook his head. Chapter 883. He had secretly received a message from the Crimson Dragon, telling him not to act rashly. Seeing Lin Xian's solemn expression, Bing Ling and the others nodded. After interacting with each other along the way, they had already recognized Lin Xian's strength and took his words seriously. Now that he had said to wait and see, he must have his reasons. With Lin Xian's reminder, Bing Ling and the others did not act rashly. They still waited and watched from where they were. In the next moment, the thousands of people in the sky attacked at the same time. The entire sky was illuminated by endless light. This attack was too terrifying. No one could block the attack of thousands of martial artists at the same time. However, this terrifying attack bombarded the seal in front of them and was fiercely rebounded once again. Moreover, the rebounding force was even more violent than before. Countless waves of energy that could be seen with the naked eye spread out in all directions, ferociously slamming into the sovereigns in the sky, sending them flying. Blood splattered everywhere and dyed the sky red. The venerables were all bombarded without exception. Seeing this scene, everyone trembled violently and sucked in a breath of cold air. This attack was too terrifying. Thousands of people could not break it. Was this king's treasure really unbreakable? Bing Ling, Yang Lin, and the others were even more shocked. If Lin Xian had not warned them, they would have gone up. If that had happened, they would have been seriously injured. Thinking of this, they felt a lingering fear. The people from the Iron Sword sect and the Huangfu clan were also shocked and frowned. The energy that had gathered in the sky was not weaker than any of them. Even so, it did not explode. This meant that even if they went up, they would not stand a chance. On the other hand, the people from Blackwater City seemed to be calm. Xiao Li stood at the front with his hands behind his back. He looked forward with a disdainful smile. In front of them, the huge black cauldron was attacked and changed. Countless rays of light gathered above the black cauldron and quickly formed a human figure. Soon, the human figure gradually solidified and finally became a 16 or 17-year-old youth. He had delicate features and a thin figure. He was looking up at the void, seeing the youth's figure suddenly appear. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect the phantom of a young man to appear. But in the next moment, they became extremely terrified because the handsome young man emanated a powerful and terrifying pressure that enveloped the surroundings. His imposing aura far surpassed the Exalt realm. King's aura. Countless people trembled, wanting to bow down in worship. As for those with weaker strength, they were kneeling on the ground, trembling nonstop. Niwa of Gojosian. He is the Niwa of Gojosian. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding cultivators were all shocked. Even the experts from the 3 major forces were greatly shocked. They had never seen Niwa of Gojosian before, but they had heard countless legends about Niwa of Gojosian. However, they had never thought that Niwa of Gojosian was actually a teenager. Bingling and the others were also shocked as they stared blankly ahead. Lin Xian frowned. This Niwa of Gojosian was too young. He seemed to be even younger than him. What do you know? A king's means are heaven-defying. It's not a problem for them to maintain their appearance. Niwa of Gojosian obviously used this method. The Crimson Dragon transmitted his voice. So that's how it is. Lin Xian finally understood. From this point alone, one could see that a king was extraordinary. One had to know that the experts in the Exalt realm were usually old men, because those experts were old monsters who had lived for almost 1,000 years. How could such a person be young? However, even if a king was old, he could still maintain his youth. This wasn't as simple as appearance. This meant that the vitality of a king had completely surpassed that of a venerable and reached a new height. In front, the young man's figure looked around at the crowd and then sighed. Seeing the young man's actions, everyone was shocked again. The phantom of the young man was no different from a real person. What's going on? Has Niwa of Gojosian been resurrected? Many people were frightened and prepared to run away. This is just a wisp of Niwa of Gojosian's soul imprint. He hasn't really been resurrected. The Crimson Dragon transmitted his voice. A wisp of soul imprint. Lin Xian exclaimed. As expected of a king, even a wisp of soul imprint was so powerful. Then, how powerful would a real king be? Everyone below the king realm is an ant. This is not wrong at all. The Crimson Dragon said, "Boy, you'll know when you reach the king realm." King realm. Lin Xian clenched his fists and his eyes shone. He must reach the king realm. In front, the Niwa of Gojosian looked around and sighed. Endless vicissitudes of life appeared in his eyes. "You're Niwa of Gojosian?" Suddenly, Shaoli stood out and asked in a deep voice. As soon as these words came out, countless gazes looked over and exclaimed in surprise. What is Shaoli trying to do? Everyone was puzzled. Even if he was a 4th-level venerable, and even if the other party had a soul imprint, the difference between the two was like heaven and earth. They couldn't be compared at all. Stepping out at this time was tantamount to courting death. As expected, the Niwa of Gojosian turned around and looked at Shaoli. He shook his head slightly. "You're too weak. There are so many people here, but no king realm, not even a half-king. Do I have to give my treasures to you ants?" This voice was filled with endless lament. Everyone below the king realm was an ant. Chapter 884. What? He blocked it. Everyone's eyes almost fell out of their sockets when they saw the scene in the distance. Lin Xian and the others also frowned. Their expressions were solemn because they saw that Shaoli was still standing near the black cauldron. He was not dead. This was too unbelievable. One had to know that that was an attack from a king. How could a level 4 honorable realm block it? No, Shao Li didn't block it. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he stared at the jade token in front of Shao Li. The token was emitting a terrifying aura. Oh my God, what is that? Everyone also noticed this scene and exclaimed, Shao Li has a token that can block a king's attack? What treasure is that? Everyone was envious and shocked at the same time. The other party could actually take out such a thing. It seemed that Blackwater City was well prepared. What king? It's just a soul imprint that's about to disappear. A disdainful voice rang out in the void. Everyone was shocked and their minds went blank. Who is this? How dare he say such big words? However, in the next moment, they were so shocked that they could not speak. This was because the jade token floating in the air suddenly emitted a powerful aura that swept out in all directions. The aura was too strong, with an unquestionable sense of oppression. Its power was not inferior to that of Niwa of Gojoseon at all. King's aura, this is the aura of a king. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked, and their bodies trembled. Bingling and the others also looked solemn and kept retreating. Lin Xian frowned and stared at the beautiful lady's token. The jade token emitted a dazzling light. Then a figure walked out of the token. It was an old man with a sage-like demeanor. However, his eyes were a little gloomy. He had a supreme aura and the dignity of a person who had been in a high position for a long time. This aura was too terrifying. It was as if 100,000 demonic mountains were pressing down on the void, causing everyone to be unable to breathe. A king! It's a king! Countless people were frightened and exclaimed in their hearts. It was too shocking, too shocking. They did not expect two kings to appear in such a short period of time. A king! Lin Xian also exclaimed as his pupils constricted. He didn't expect Blackwater City to be related to kings. However, how was that possible? Lin Xian was not the only one who was shocked. The people from the Iron Sword sect and the Huangfu family were just as shocked. There was even a trace of fear on their faces. Although Blackwater City was powerful, it was only limited to the Blackwater River Basin. It was nothing compared to the entire Blood Realm. However, if there really was a king behind the Blackwater River, then it would be different. With such a status, how could they be willing to stay in the Blackwater River Basin? Old Monster Su from the Iron Sword sect and the middle-aged expert from the Huangfu family were both shocked and confused. Originally, the three of them were evenly matched, but now it seemed that this was not the case at all. Their opponent, Blackwater City, seemed to have an unspeakable identity and secret. It's not a king. It's just a clone. At this moment, the dark red divine dragon transmitted its voice. King's clone. Lin Xian frowned, and the shock in his eyes became even more intense. Even a clone could create such a terrifying aura, as expected of a top expert of the continent. King's clone. At this moment, the Niwa of Gojoseon also spoke softly, and there was a great pressure in his voice. Interesting. I didn't think that my treasure would attract a king. I just don't know if your clone can break my seal. If it was a few hundred years ago, my clone might not be able to break it. But now, how much power does your seal have left? The mysterious king's clone asked coldly. Time is merciless. There is no need for the dead to remain in this world. The conversation between the two caused a huge uproar. Countless people were shocked. A king's clone? This was just a clone. But whose clone was this? While the crowd was shocked, they were also very curious. There were only a few kings in the Tianwu continent, and they could be counted with one hand. The king's clone in front of them was definitely one of them. For a moment, all kinds of guesses spread through the crowd. At this moment, the king's avatar in front of him suddenly made a move. A terrifying aura surged from his body, and the surrounding spiritual qi quickly gathered like waves, forming a quaint purple seal that blasted downward. The purple seal was like a huge mountain, and there were profound inscriptions on it. It was filled with a mysterious aura. Rays of purple light hung down like auspicious rays, and each ray could shatter the void. Boom! As soon as the purple seal condensed, it pressed down on the Niwa of Gojosian. Humph! The Niwa of Gojosian snorted coldly, took out a pill, and threw it into the void. Roar! In the next moment, a terrifying sound rang out, shaking the 9 heavens and causing the surrounding martial artists to tremble. In the void, a huge black shadow appeared. It was indomitable, and it was extremely terrifying. It was a demonic beast with the head of a tiger and the body of an elephant. Its body was covered with hard, poisonous thorns, and there was a pair of huge blue wings on its back. It looked extremely ferocious. A terrifying demonic aura filled the world. Cheong-chi! It's Cheong-chi! Someone exclaimed, and his eyes were filled with horror. This legendary demonic beast had actually appeared? Hearing this voice, countless people were shocked and speechless. They could only stand there in a daze. A battle pill? You really have such means. On the opposite side, the mysterious sovereign's clone said coldly, "Today, let me see how much power your broken soul can unleash." In the next moment, the mysterious king's clone snorted and waved his arm, bringing the purple seal down. Roar! Below! Cheong-chi roared, flapped its wings, and pounced forward. Boom! There was a shocking tremor, and the entire space shook. Countless cracks filled the void as if it would split open at any time. This was a king, and a casual attack was so terrifying. Lin Xian looked up, and his heart was filled with shock. This attack was too powerful, and it could destroy an area with a raise of its hand. This was the power that he yearned for. Oh no, Cheong-chi is being suppressed, and the seal is dimming, Bingling exclaimed. Lin Xian took a closer look, and indeed, the purple seal continued to descend, gradually suppressing Cheong-chi. Sai, time is merciless. That elixir king is only a soul mark, and it can't unleash much power. The crimson dragon sighed. Hearing this, Lin Xian was silent. He knew that the seal was about to be broken. It seems that the seal is about to be broken. Let's get ready to enter at any time, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Bingling and the others were shocked and excited. Who wouldn't be excited to enter the legendary king's treasure? Not only them, but all the martial artists around were also excited, and they all looked forward with fiery eyes. Xiao Li looked at this scene and took a deep breath. He said to the people behind him, "Get ready to enter the king's treasure!" Chapter 885. The horrifying aura in front of them was vast and mighty, forming a scene of destruction. The surrounding people moved quickly, preparing to enter the king's treasure. The howling of the wind between heaven and earth became softer, and the horrifying aura gradually faded as well. The sound of glass breaking rang out. Everyone knew that it was the sound of the seal breaking. Countless people spat out saliva, looking excited. They knew that the seal around the king's treasure had finally been broken. Xiao Li laughed sinisterly. His body flashed, and he led the people of Black Dragon City into the sky like a flood. Seeing the people of Blackwater City taking the lead, Old Monster Su from Iron Sword Sect and the middle-aged man from Huangfu family also roared and led their own teams to charge forward. The surrounding people also quickly rose into the sky like locusts flying forward in a dense pack. "Let's go too," Bingling said in a low voice, looking very serious. Finally, Lin Xian and the other 4 gathered together. Like a sharp sword, they quickly shuttled through the void. Soon, they entered the place where the seal had been sealed. An aura of desolation and vicissitudes rushed over, causing one's heart to tremble. Countless teams advanced toward the huge black cauldron in front of them, as if it felt the disturbance of these intruders. The huge black cauldron trembled quickly, emitting a black light. The strange beasts carved on the cauldron came to life at this moment. They kept moving around, roaring ferociously. Then, under the shocked eyes of the crowd, they quickly rushed out of the black cauldron and pounced on the crowd. When the crowd saw this, their scalps went numb and their faces were filled with horror. This scene was too horrifying and strange. The carvings on the cauldron came to life and became real demonic beasts. It was hard to believe. Many people thought that this was an illusion used to confuse people. After a while, they abandoned this idea because there were countless screams in front of them. It was obvious that those martial artists had been attacked. A pungent smell of blood quickly spread out, and the entire sky was filled with panic. Deep roars sounded with terrifying killing intent. More and more demonic beasts flew out of the huge black cauldron and rushed toward the crowd. "Run quickly!" When some timid martial artists saw the scene, they did not dare to stay and quickly fled into the distance. However, there were even more martial artists whose eyes were bloodshot. Their voices were filled with rage. Kill them all, enter the enormous black cauldron, and seize the king's treasure. For a time the sky was in chaos. All kinds of screams and sounds of battle rose and fell. The entire sky was filled with battles. However, they still underestimated those demonic beasts. Those demonic beasts were not real. They were illusions created by the mysterious power of the black cauldron. They seemed endless and tireless. They were indeed powerful when they worked together. But against these monsters that did not know fear and pain, they had to pay a heavy price to be able to advance. However, in this chaos, there was a group that rushed the fastest, and that was Blackwater City. Under the leadership of Blackwater City's City Lord Shaoli, the entire Blackwater City was like a sharp black blade, rapidly shuttling through the sky. Other than City Lord Shaoli, who was a fourth-layer venerable, there were also dozens of third-layer venerables. When these forces gathered together, they formed a terrifying force that quickly tore apart the black, demonic beasts. Seeing Blackwater City's speed, the surrounding martial artists were shocked. That speed was too fast. It was not something they could compare to. Behind Blackwater City were the Iron Sword Sect and the Huangfu family. At this moment, they were chasing with all their might. "Let's speed up too," Bing Ling said in a deep voice. Her slender hand swiped across her storage ring, and a blue ice staff appeared in her hand. Immediately, it emitted a monstrous cold aura. She waved the ice staff and easily froze the surrounding demonic beasts into ice sculptures. "This ice staff is terrifying." Lin Xian was shocked. The power was a little too great. Hee kid, don't be surprised. It cost a lot of spiritual value points to exchange for it from the true spirit hull. This ice spring staff is extremely famous among the top spiritual treasures, Yan Lin said in a booming voice. "All right, let's go. With the ice spring staff, we should be able to increase our speed by a lot," Bing Ling said in a deep voice. "Since that's the case, I'll help everyone again." Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm, and his fingers danced. Then, a blue ice lotus appeared under everyone's feet. Seeing the blue ice lotus under their feet and feeling the terrifying aura it emitted, everyone was shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to have an ice attribute treasure, especially Bing Ling. Her beautiful face was filled with shock. According to what she knew, Lin Xian was not an ice attribute martial artist. Now that he could use such a powerful ice attribute move, it seemed that he had a fortuitous encounter in the king's treasure. A fortuitous encounter. This was something she could not be envious of. Moreover, she had also obtained a few good items in the king's treasure. Taking a deep breath, Bing Ling calmed down and said in a deep voice, "That's good. With the two of us working together, we should be able to reach the limit of our speed." "Okay." Lin Xian nodded. Then, the two of them used their techniques and moved forward quickly. The huge ice lotus rotated like a blue stream of light, carrying everyone forward. Wherever it passed, Cold air would spread, forming a frost zone. Bing Ling waved her ice staff and formed ice mountains, blocking all the demonic beasts that pounced on them. Indeed, with the two of them working together, their speed increased greatly. Although there were only 5 of them, their speed was not any slower than the people from the Iron Sword sect. In the sky, everyone flew toward the Black Cauldron with all their might. However, the further they went, the more demonic beasts there were. They seemed to have gone crazy and blocked everyone's path. At this point, everyone's speed slowed down. Even Blackwater City, which was the fastest, had no choice but to slow down. Moreover, the casualties caused by this attack were extremely terrifying. The air was filled with the pungent smell of blood. The blood had gathered into a river, which was a ghastly sight. Many people from each force died in the attack. Even a 3rd rank honorable from the Blackwater City died. One could imagine how terrifying it was. Lin Xian and the rest were strong. With the protection of the icy spring staff and the ice lotus martial soul, they did not suffer any casualties. However, the 5 of them looked solemn and moved forward carefully. It was too terrifying. What exactly was that Black Cauldron? How could it create so many demonic beasts? Yang Lin had a lingering fear. Everyone be careful. Don't get hurt. Bing Ling reminded. Look, the people from the Blackwater City are moving again. Yi Yan's eyes flashed as he exclaimed. Lin Xian and the rest turned their heads and saw that the martial artists from the Blackwater City had started to disperse. They formed small teams and rushed forward from different directions. This was because they realized that the more martial artists there were, the greater the impact of the demonic beasts. If there were fewer people, it might be a good thing. This was also one of the reasons why Lin Xian and the rest were not injured. At this moment, Blackwater City had split their troops into 3 teams. Xiao Mei's team had 3 third-stage martial saints. Chapter 886. The next moment, the teams split up and rushed forward. Their speed was indeed much faster than before. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. Old Monster Su from the Iron Sword sect and the Huangfu family looked pale. Soon, they decided to use the same method. What should we do? Yang Lin asked. Bing Ling and the others were deep in thought. But Lin Xian slowly said, How about this? I will go and stop Xiao Mei and the others. After all, they have the water dragon pill. They might be able to do something unexpected. If no one stops them, the treasure might be taken away before we even reach it. But it's too dangerous. It's not good for you to go out alone. Bing Ling shook her head. You still don't believe me? I won't do something that will kill me. Lin Xian smiled. Okay then, you have to be careful. Don't force yourself. Seeing Lin Xian insist, Bing Ling could only agree. Then Lin Xian's body flashed. Like a sharp sword, he flew forward quickly, piercing through all the beasts in his path. Although there were more beasts here, Lin Xian's speed was even faster than before. At this moment he had no scruples. He went all out and was extremely fast. His body emitted an icy sword light. Not only was it sharp, but the power of ice could also reduce the speed of the beasts around him. Running all the way, he finally arrived near the Black Cauldron. With a flash, Lin Xian rushed up and plunged into the Black Cauldron. He was very careful because the 2 king-level doppelgangers were still fighting in the void above the Black Cauldron. The 2 king-level doppelgangers were in a stalemate and did not have the energy to care about what was happening below. Therefore, Lin Xian went in without any danger. The Black Cauldron was huge, so the space inside was also very spacious. It was like a city. It was dimly lit inside, and wisps of mist blocked his vision. Even with Lin Xian's powerful soul senses, he could only sense things within a radius of 100 meters. Fortunately, he was very fast. It was not difficult to search the entire Black Cauldron. Soon he found a head. The head was sparkling and translucent, like a crystal. It was surrounded by multicolored light and emitted a mysterious aura. Lin Xian didn't know what the skull was for, but his instincts told him that it was a rare treasure. His figure flashed, and he was about to go down to search for the treasure and take the crystal head away. However, at this moment, a powerful sound of something breaking through the air came from behind, and a terrifying spiritual energy rushed toward him. Humph! Lin Xian snorted and unleashed a sword aura with the back of his hand. Boom! Immediately after, a terrifying explosion rang out, and violent energy waves wreaked havoc like a raging tide. Lin Xian took a step back, and the person behind him also let out a muffled groan. Taking advantage of this gap, Lin Xian used Dragon Capturing Hand and caught the crystal skeleton in his hand. Thief, hurry up and hand over the treasure, or today will be the day you die. A furious roar rang out. That voice was filled with fury. Immediately after, a rapid sound of something breaking through the air came from behind, and Xiao Mei flew over with a furious face. In her hand was a blue pill that was emitting light. It was the water spiritual pill. Behind Xiao Mei were Grandma Silver and 2 other martial artists. The 2 martial artists had powerful auras, and their expressions were cold. It was obvious that their cultivation had reached the 3rd heaven of the honorable realm. Damn thief! I'll definitely kill you. Xiao Mei's face was ferocious, and her body was trembling. With the guidance of the water dragon pill and the escort of 3 3rd heaven honorables, her speed was extremely fast. She thought that she would be the first to reach the Black Cauldron and obtain the rare treasure. However, things were out of her expectations. Lin Xian had entered earlier than her, and he had even obtained the rare treasure. Hand over the rare treasure, and I can spare your life. I can even let you leave safely, Xiao Mei said in a deep voice. Leave safely? Do you think I'll believe you? Lin Xian sneered, holding the crystal skeleton with disdain. Damn it, Grandma Silver, the 3 of you attack together and kill him for me. Xiao Mei's voice was cold. Then Grandma Silver and 2 other 3rd heaven honorables walked out. The 3 of them formed a triangle and surrounded Lin Xian. Without wasting any time, Grandma Silver immediately used the black flood dragon flag. It fluttered loudly, and black aura drooped down like a flood dragon, protecting her body. The trauma of being imprisoned by Lin Xian was still there, so when she saw Lin Xian, her first reaction was to defend herself. The other 2 also released light from their bodies, forming a solid defense. Then, the 3 of them stared at Lin Xian with cold, killing intent. Brat, you're very strong and lucky to be able to obtain the rare treasure. However, if you meet us, you won't have any chance of survival. Grandma Silver's voice was ferocious. She really wanted to kill Lin Xian. Moreover, she believed that they would succeed this time, because if the 3 of them worked together, they would definitely be able to kill him. The combined strength of 3 3rd heaven honorables was extremely terrifying. It didn't matter if the other party was a genius or not. No one would be able to escape from the combined strength of 3 3rd heaven honorables. Seeing the 3 of them working together, the leader's face darkened, and his eyes were filled with coldness. Indeed, the combined strength of 3 honorables gave him a lot of pressure. Moreover, under such circumstances, it was difficult for his black handkerchief to imprison one of them. However, although the situation was difficult, he wasn't afraid. At least, if he really wanted to leave, these people definitely wouldn't be able to stop him. If you want the rare treasure, then exchange it with your lives. Lin Xian sneered. You're courting death. Grandma Silver roared. She didn't expect Lin Xian to be so stubborn. As her voice fell, the hillmen quickly attacked. Terrifying and vast energy rushed towards Lin Xian from 3 directions. Grandma Silver waved her black flag, and a black flood dragon rushed out with a ferocious roar. It carried a strange and eerie energy as it pounced towards Lin Xian. The other two also attacked quickly. They shot out a gray flame and a dazzling blade light. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He moved his feet and quickly traversed the void like a ghost, leaving behind countless afterimages. He used the illusory demon steps. Even if his opponents were third heaven honorables, they couldn't lock onto him. Therefore, their attacks all missed. However, in the next moment, the three of them worked together and formed a pitch-black ancient mirror. It hung in the air and shot out a black light, knocking Lin Xian out of the void. We knew that you were very fast. How could we not be prepared? Don't struggle. Today is the day you die. Die, brat. The three of them walked forward step by step with hideous smiles on their faces. Lin Xian was blasted out of the void by a strange force. Instantly his blood and qi churned, and his whole body felt like it was about to split open. He was extremely shocked. Indeed, his opponents had a way to deal with him. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly, and anger appeared in his eyes. Chapter 887. In the next moment, he pulled out the wind shadow sword and quickly drew in the air. A strange aura spread out as the surrounding spiritual energy surged and gathered into a wave that surged towards him. Oh no, this kid is going to use some ultimate skill. Everyone stop him. Feeling the terrifying aura, Grandma Silver's face darkened as she shouted angrily. The three of them took out their dragon flags and quickly waved them in the air. Black clouds covered the city as a terrifying and oppressive aura exploded. It was like a demonic cloud that was about to envelop Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved the long sword in his hand and drew a strange trajectory in the air. A terrifying and vast power spread out, filling the entire sky in an instant. Gale lightning sword. 3 sword scares ghosts and gods. Lin Xian's expression was cold as his deep voice sounded. The long sword in his hand suddenly pierced out, and a sharp sword aura exploded. Up above, the void trembled as 3 huge sword shadows fell, slashing down viciously. With one strike, the air was shattered. Earth-grade martial arts. Feeling the terrifying aura, Grandma Silver and the other twos' faces changed as they screamed in horror. They did not expect the young man in front of them to have mastered an Earth-grade martial arts. Earth-grade martial arts were peerless treasures that even their city lord had not mastered. But now a young man had actually executed such a terrifying martial arts. Feeling the terrifying sword aura, the 3 scalps went numb. They did not dare to be careless and used all their strength to form a solid defense in front of them. Countless black gas flew out from the black flag and quickly intertwined in front of the 3. 3 dragons surged out and formed a black dragon diagram. The pitch-black light emitted a powerful force. It was obvious that this was an extremely powerful defensive technique. In the next moment, the 3 huge sword shadows in the air fell and crashed into the black light screen. A low and terrifying sound rang out as countless air waves surged up into the sky. The black light screen formed by the 3 dragons only lasted for a moment before it shattered. Then the 3 powerful sword auras crashed into Grandma Silver and the other 2 and sent them flying. Bang! The 3 of them spat out mouthfuls of blood and were in a sorry state. Their bodies flew out and crashed into the black cauldron with a rumbling sound. The 3 of them were almost cut in half by this attack. Seeing this scene, Xiao Mei screamed in horror from afar. She could not believe that Lin Xian had such terrifying strength to be able to injure 3 third-level sovereigns with a single strike. This was too terrifying. Most likely, only a 4th heaven venerable realm cultivator would be able to accomplish this. And what was Lin Xian's cultivation level? He was only a 2nd rank venerable. Thinking of this, her scalp went numb. Not daring to stay any longer, she turned around and twisted her waist in an attempt to escape. She really didn't dare to stay any longer. Otherwise, she would probably end up in a miserable state. Therefore, she had to leave quickly. Hearing the sound of Xiao Mei escaping, Lin Xian coldly laughed. This vicious woman had tried to take his life time and time again. Did she really think that he was easy to bully? Stretching out his palm, Lin Xian used the dragon capturing hands, forming 2 dragons of light. They roared ferociously as they rushed out, binding Xiao Mei in an instant. Then Lin Xian shook his arm and pulled her to his side. "What are you trying to do?" Xiao Mei screamed in horror. "If you dare to touch me, you're dead. My father won't let you off." Seeing this scene, the Silver Granny and the other 2's eyelids twitched. They endured the injuries in their bodies and quickly stood up. They said hatefully, "Thief, if you dare to touch our miss, you won't be able to live in this world. Scram! Don't let me see you. Otherwise, I'll kill her right now." With that, Lin Xian tightened his grip, causing Xiao Mei to scream in pain again. The Silver Granny struggled, but she did not leave. They had received orders to obtain the rare treasure. "Thief, if you dare to touch Miss, the city lord won't let you off." Xiao Mei screamed, "My father will be here soon. If you dare to touch me, you're dead. I advise you to let me go and leave the rare treasure behind. Maybe I'll spare your life if I'm in a good mood. You're about to die, and you still dare to say such words. Do you really think I won't dare to kill you?" Lin Xian snorted coldly as he tightened his grip and broke one of Xiao Mei's arms. "Ah!" Xiao Mei screamed in a heart-wrenching voice. "Ha! I knew you wouldn't dare to kill me. When my father comes, I'll break every bone in your body. I'll make you wish you were dead. Don't dare to kill you? You're too confident." Lin Xian sneered as he shattered Xiao Mei's body. Pum! In an instant, all the bones in Xiao Mei's body were shattered, and the spiritual sea in her dantian was broken. At this moment, Xiao Mei finally felt fear. Without her cultivation, she was a cripple. If that was really the case, she might as well die. In the distance, Granny Silver and the other 2 were also shocked. They didn't think that Lin Xian would really kill her. In the sky, another violent energy wave came. Boundless spiritual qi swept out in all directions, and the entire sky was quickly destroyed, forming a huge black hole. The king's aura that had been suppressing everyone's hearts also gradually disappeared. Countless people looked up at the sky, their faces full of shock. The 2 figures in the sky gradually faded, as if they were about to disappear. Looking at this scene, everyone was shocked. It seemed that the king's aura had disappeared. If that was really the case, then they could all enter the Black Cauldron. Lin Xian's face changed. It seemed that the king's avatar and Niwa of Gojoseon's remnant soul had perished together. Xiao Li and the others would most likely enter soon. Thinking of this, Lin Xian took the dying Xiao Mei and quickly ran into the distance. However, just as he moved, the void suddenly split open, and a terrifying fist smashed towards him. The power was extremely shocking. It was like a black flood dragon. It was powerful to the extreme. Lin Xian's body suddenly tensed up. He felt a wave of deathly energy that seemed to want to tear him apart. In that instant, he quickly used the Red Lotus battle armor and the illusory demonic steps to retreat. However, he was still hit by the fist. Lin Xian's body trembled, and he quickly flew back. Luckily, the Red Lotus battle armor was extremely powerful and blocked most of the power. Otherwise, his body would have been torn apart. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lin Xian coldly looked ahead. Countless cracks appeared on the Red Lotus battle armor in front of his chest, as if it was about to break apart. One could only imagine how terrifying that fist was. There was only one person who could put Lin Xian in such danger, and that was Blackwater City's city lord, Xiao Li. As expected, the void rippled, and Xiao Li quickly flew over. He grabbed the dying Xiao Mei and threw her to Granny Silver and the others. He then turned around and gloomily looked at Lin Xian. The killing intent on his body surged, turning into sharp blades that pierced through the void. Brat, you're the first person who dared to provoke my Blackwater city. I'll let you know what regret is. Xiao Li coldly harumphed and once again waved his fist. A terrifying energy filled the entire space and pressed down on Lin Xian. Chapter 888. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He quickly summoned his ice lotus martial soul and placed it in front of him. The blue lotus spun and turned into 9 blue ice swords that slashed forward. Bang! 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 That fist was too terrifying. It directly shattered the 9 blue ice swords. Then the fist landed on the blue martial spirit and sent it flying. Puff! Lin Xian groaned and spat out another mouthful of blood. A 4th rank honorable was indeed powerful. With his current strength, he was no match for him, unless he summoned his great dragon sword soul and fought with his life on the line. Kid, hand over the item, and I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Xiao Li's voice was cold as he walked over. Lin Xian's eyes darkened. He kept his ice lotus martial soul and prepared to summon his great dragon sword soul. However, neither of them noticed that the blood dripping from Lin Xian's mouth landed on the crystal skull in his hand and quickly merged with it. At that moment, the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar. Several powerful auras rushed over. Junior brother Lin, we're here to help you. Suddenly, the void behind them was torn apart rapidly. Several figures arrived in the vicinity in an instant, as fast as lightning. In a flash, Bing Ling and the others appeared. They came to Lin Xian's side and looked at Xiao Li and the others warily. How dare you hurt a disciple of Senmu College? We'll remember this. Bing Ling said coldly. Yang Lin also said coldly, Blackwater City, right? Wait for the anger of Senmu College. Dongfang Phoenix and the others looked at Xiao Li angrily. Ha 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 ha, today is the day you die. As long as you're all dead, no one will know that I killed you. No matter how powerful those old freaks of Senmu College are, they won't be able to find me. Xiao Li's expression became ferocious. Dozens of martial artists rushed out from behind him and formed a huge arc that sealed the entire space. Today, I'll show you how powerful I am. In the face of absolute power, all geniuses and talents are useless. Xiao Li took a step forward, and the aura on his body exploded like a flash flood. Terrifying and vast spiritual energy gushed out quickly, easily tearing the void apart. Previously, I was just playing with you. Now, I will let you know the true strength of a 4th level venerable. Xiao Li floated in the air and looked down. His expression was disdainful and his aura was incomparably violent. Previously, he had not used his full strength. Now that he had used his full strength, the momentum was extremely terrifying. Even if Bing Ling and the other 4 joined forces, they would not be able to resist. At this moment, Granny Silver also said in a deep voice, City Lord, the young lady's cultivation has been crippled by that brat, and all the bones in her body have been shattered. If there isn't any heaven-defying spiritual medicine, I'm afraid there's nothing she can do. Hearing this, Xiao Li's pupils abruptly shrank as a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. His originally dignified face was now incomparably distorted. He stared coldly at Lin Xian. Brat, I won't kill you. I will cripple your martial arts, break all the bones in your body, and let you live like a dog. The harm you've done to Mei, I will return it 100-fold. Humph. What's so great about being a 4th level venerable? Catch me first. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His expression was extremely solemn, but there was not much respect in his voice. If he was really forced into a corner, he would just summon the great dragon Sword Soul, regardless of the consequences, and fight with his life. Although his opponent was powerful, he did not believe that his opponent could withstand the attack of the great dragon Sword Soul if he did not care about his life. However, that kind of consumption would be too great. Once Lin Xian used it, he would be extremely weak. Obviously, he could not use it casually in a place full of danger. However, if his opponent really forced him into a corner, he would drag his opponent down with him even if he had to die. Humph! Shameless boasting. I'll let you know the difference between us. Xiao Li's expression was cold as he stretched out his palm. A terrifying aura filled the air. That fist was too terrifying, and the energy it carried made Lin Xian and the other feel fearful. Let's attack together. Bingling shouted and waved the icy spring staff in her hand. It formed an ice mountain and blasted upwards. At the same time, Dongfeng Fenghuang and the others also attacked with powerful attacks. Countless rays of light shone, and a deafening roar sounded. Various rays of light shot up into the sky as if the entire void was about to explode. However, what shocked the five of them was that under their terrifying attacks, the fist was not hindered at all. It blasted towards them quickly. How terrifying! Bingling and the others' pupils shrank as they kept retreating. Was this the power of a level 4 honorable realm? It was indeed powerful. Even if they attacked with all their might, it would be difficult for them to resist. Boom! The terrifying fist landed, and the power directly shattered the void. The energy shockwave struck everyone, causing quite a bit of damage. Bingling and the others cried out and spat out a mouthful of blood. They looked up in horror. A bunch of ants who don't know what's good for them. This is the difference between honorables. Xiao Li put his hands behind his back with a look of disdain. As the honorable realm increased, the difference between each level would become greater. In other words, it would be more difficult to challenge someone of a higher level. Unless one was an extremely monstrous genius or a martial artist who had a precious treasure in his hands, he would be able to challenge someone of a higher level. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for anyone to break through the shackles of this level. Kid, hand over the treasure in your hands, and I can consider giving you a quick death. Otherwise, I will let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. These companions of yours will accompany you to experience endless pain. Lin Xian raised his head and his eyes flashed. It seemed that he could only use the great dragon Sword Soul. However, after using this power, he would become weak. But now he could not care less. If he wanted to live, he had to get rid of Xiao Li. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian quickly activated the longevity incantation and prepared to use the great dragon Sword Soul. However, in the next moment, the crystal skull in his hand was dyed red with blood and emitted a dazzling light. The entire space was dyed red by a layer of crimson light. Then the space trembled slightly. At first, it was very weak, but it gradually became stronger. It was as if someone was shaking the entire black cauldron. Even the surrounding spiritual qi was boiling violently. This unforeseen event directly alarmed everyone. The faces of the martial artists who had just entered changed, and they all looked around nervously. They were really afraid of being tortured by the black demonic beasts. They were afraid that something strange would happen again. In the void, Xiao Li did not make a move. Instead, his face was gloomy and his eyes quickly scanned the surroundings. He did not expect this to happen. Bingling and the others were even more shocked. They quickly gathered together and prepared to deal with the unexpected situation. Lin Xian frowned because he had already noticed the abnormality of the crystal skull in his hand. Kid, hurry up and leave this black cauldron. The crimson dragon quickly transmitted a message, and there was a trace of anxiety in its voice. Hearing this, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. Hurry up and say that. Hurry up and leave here. Then his body swayed and he flew up. Bing Ling and the others were stunned for a moment, and then quickly followed behind Lin Xian. Chapter 889. Countless things had proven that Lin Xian's choice was correct. This time, they did not hesitate and quickly followed behind Lin Xian, preparing to leave. Want to leave? Not so easy. Seeing Lin Xian and the others leaving, Xiao Li snorted and stretched out his hand, wanting to grab them. The void fluctuated, and a black palm covered the sky, grabbing at Lin Xian and the others. The 5 fingers were like 5 dragons, roaring ferociously with a terrifying momentum. However, in the next moment, an even more terrifying force exploded. The surrounding spiritual energy quickly condensed, forming a black storm that swept through the 9 heavens. The momentum was countless times more terrifying than Xiao Li's palm. In an instant, the black dragon hand formed by Xiao Li was shattered by the black storm. What kind of power is this? It's so terrifying. Seeing his attack being shattered, Xiao Li's pupils shrank, and his expression was full of shock. One had to know that he had used all his strength just now. At the same time, the walls of the black cauldron emitted bursts of light, forming mysterious ancient characters with a mysterious aura. Mysterious ancient characters appeared inside the black cauldron, enveloping the surroundings and emitting a mysterious aura. Could it be that this black cauldron is the unique treasure of the king's treasure? Xiao Li was shocked and doubtful. He had received orders from above to obtain the unique treasure of the king's treasure. Originally, he had thought that it was the crystal skull in Lin Xian's hand, but now it seemed that it was not so. The mysterious aura emitted by this black cauldron was too strange. It was very likely that it was the unique treasure of the king's treasure. Feeling the terrifying aura emitted by the mysterious ancient characters, Xiao Li was even more certain of his guess. However, soon, his expression became extremely ugly because the aura emitted by this black cauldron was too terrifying. He could not bear it, let alone obtain it. Perhaps only a king could do it. The corner of Xiao Li's mouth twitched as he felt his scalp go numb. In the next moment, he waved his sleeve as well and led the people of Blackwater City into the sky. If they didn't leave now, they might be crushed into meat paste by the mysterious power inside. Lin Xian and the others were the first to move, so they took the lead and flew towards the exit. However, in the next moment, the huge black cauldron suddenly vibrated and rapidly expanded. The exit, which was originally close at hand, was once again pulled apart. What? Upon seeing this scene, Lin Xian's small face also collapsed, revealing a trace of helplessness. This situation was too strange, and he was simply unable to control it. Brat, hurry up and protect yourself. I'm afraid this space will be destroyed by the black cauldron soon, the Crimson Dragon said. Now that they had entered the king's treasure, it was not on the real world, but in a strange, independent space. But now the Crimson Dragon said that the space was about to shatter. It was too shocking, but he didn't doubt the Crimson Dragon's words. The Crimson Dragon was an old monster that had lived for thousands of years. In the next moment, he stopped flying and quickly gathered with Bing Ling and the others. Be careful, all of you. Hurry up and activate your strongest defenses. This space won't be able to hold on for long. Lin Xian revealed a shocking piece of news. Hearing this, Bing Ling and the others were shocked, and their faces were full of disbelief. They didn't know how Lin Xian knew this news, but looking at his expression, it didn't seem like he was joking. The space will shatter. Everyone gasped. If that was really the case, they were afraid that they would be greatly affected. Don't hesitate anymore. Quickly use your strongest skills, Lin Xian said quickly. Then Bing Ling and the others nodded and used their life-saving skills. Lin Xian also used his spiritual energy, quickly forming a huge shadow of the crimson lotus armor, covering Bing Ling and the others. Behind them, Xiao, Li, and the others stopped running. Instead, they released their powerful spiritual energy, forming a solid defense, covering the people of Blackwater City. In an instant, in the huge black cauldron, every warrior formed a strong defense to protect their lives. The huge black cauldron trembled more and more violently, and it kept expanding, as if it was going to break the sky. At this moment, all the warriors in the king's treasure space raised their heads in horror. Looking at this horrifying scene, their bodies kept trembling, not knowing what was going on. In the next moment, cracks appeared in the sky like broken glass. The terrifying cracks spread in all directions, making cracking sounds. Bang! In the end, the sky couldn't bear the impact, and a huge black vortex appeared, swallowing everything. Blackwater River Basin. The black water roared and surged. At this moment, above the Blackwater River, the void suddenly shattered, and a huge black hole appeared. Then a huge cauldron appeared, like a black, demonic mountain. It quickly flew out of the black hole and hit the ground, like a comet hitting the ground. The huge black cauldron landed, triggering a terrifying force that shook all directions. Suddenly, a horrifying pit appeared on the ground, and cracks that were almost 10,000 feet long spread in all directions. Not only that, but the trembling force also spread, causing the river to surge, forming waves that were almost 1,000 meters high. The surrounding mountains were also shattered by this force. This scene directly shocked the surrounding warriors. Countless people were like frightened rabbits, fleeing into the distance. When they arrived at a safe place, they stopped and looked ahead in horror. However, what happened next shocked them even more. The black vortex in the sky was spinning, and countless people were spewing out like raindrops. These people were the ones who had entered the king's treasure secret realm. Lin Xian and the others were pushed by a chaotic force of space. The force hit the Red Lotus armor, making a rumbling sound. Fortunately, the Red Lotus armor was strong enough to resist it. Otherwise, the turbulence of space alone would have killed them. Sure enough, screams could be heard from time to time. Those were the warriors who couldn't resist the turbulence of space and were killed by that violent and strange force. Bang! Lin Xian and the others quickly left the black vortex and appeared above the Blackwater River. Lin Xian controlled the Red Lotus armor and quickly stabilized his body. Beside him, Bingling and the others also breathed a sigh of relief. The scene just now was too frightening. Even now, they still had lingering fears. Putting away the Red Lotus armor, Lin Xian and the others flew to the side. At this moment, countless people came out of the black vortex. Seeing that they were not dead, they all exclaimed in excitement. However, the next moment, they all looked at the huge black cauldron in front of them with deep fear in their eyes. Looking at the huge black cauldron, Dongfang Phoenix's beautiful eyes flashed. She exclaimed in a low voice, "What is that thing? It can even break the space created by a king? This thing can't be a king rare treasure, right?" Chapter 890. Upon hearing this, Bingling and the others were shocked. They thought that the crystal skull in Lin Xian's hand was a rare treasure, but they did not expect the real treasure to be the giant black cauldron. Lin Xian's brows were tightly knitted together, and his expression was grave. He did not expect the rare treasure to be the giant black cauldron, but the crystal skull in his hand was not an ordinary item. If the crystal skull had not been activated, the giant black cauldron would not have changed like this. However, the aura of the giant black cauldron was too terrifying. He could not even get close to it, let alone have any ideas about it. Shaking his head, Lin Xian did not intend to take it. Instead, he said in a low voice, "We should take this opportunity to leave. Otherwise, we will be in trouble when Blackwater City realizes what is going on. As for the rest, we should wait until the situation is clear." Bing Ling and the others nodded in agreement. Indeed, the current situation was extremely unfavorable for them. Moreover, the giant black cauldron was too strange. Its aura was filled with a murderous aura, and it did not seem like a normal treasure. However, just as Lin Xian was about to leave, the crystal skull in his hand suddenly trembled, as if it was affected by the giant black cauldron. It produced a mysterious power. The power was filled with murderous aura, and it quickly rushed into his body as if it wanted to take control of him. Not good. Lin Xian's face changed. In the next moment, he pushed the dragon's sword soul with all his strength, forming countless sword auras that wandered around his body. The sharp sword aura exploded and destroyed the murderous aura. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. It was too scary. Fortunately, he had the dragon sword soul, which could destroy everything. Otherwise, he would have become a killing machine that only knew how to kill. Damn it, what the hell is this thing? Lin Xian's face was ugly, and he had an impulse to throw the crystal skull away. What's wrong? Bing Ling saw Lin Xian's strange behavior, and a trace of worry flashed in her beautiful eyes. Nothing, let's go. Lin Xian shook his head and took a deep breath. The dragon's sword soul in his body was spinning rapidly, forming sword auras that covered his body. He did this to prevent the previous incident from happening again. Then, he stomped his foot and flew into the distance. On the other side of the Blackwater River, Shao Li led the people from Blackwater City out of the Black Whirlpool. He looked in the direction where Lin Xian and the others had disappeared with a gloomy expression. Now he understood that the crystal skull in Lin Xian's hand was most likely related to the Black Cauldron. In other words, it was the key to opening the Black Cauldron. With his current strength, subduing the Black Cauldron was undoubtedly a pipe dream. However, it would be different with the crystal skull. Perhaps with a little research, he would be able to find a solution. When he thought of this, his eyes burned with passion as he stared at Lin Xian once more. He had to get that crystal skeleton. In the next moment, Shao Li waved his sleeve and released his clansmen from the defense. Then he turned into a black dragon and chased after Lin Xian. Lin Xian and the others flew in the opposite direction of the Black Cauldron. However, not long after, he once again felt the invasion of a murderous aura. Fortunately, he had defended himself in advance. The dragon's sword soul in his body surged and quickly destroyed the murderous aura. However, the crystal skull in his hand shone even brighter, especially in its two eye sockets. Two blood-red flames formed and danced. In the next moment, the Black Cauldron in the distance trembled again. Suddenly, the entire Blackwater River became a scene of chaos. Countless mountains collapsed and the ground cracked. Thousands of meters of cracks appeared, forming countless abysses. In the distance, the Black River surged and roared, creating huge waves. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. The surrounding cultivators were terrified and fled. Although they had guessed that the Black Cauldron was a king rare treasure, they did not have the ability to take it. In midair, Shao Li stopped chasing and revealed himself. He looked at the trembling Black Cauldron with a gloomy expression. He did not know what had happened, but he had an extremely bad feeling in his heart. Sure enough, in the next moment, the Black Cauldron trembled and rose from the ground. It turned into a ray of black light and instantly disappeared. Only a terrifying deep pit and countless cracks were left behind. What? Seeing this scene, Shao Li's pupils constricted, and his face was filled with shock. His face was gloomy. He extended his soul power and quickly sensed. However, he had searched 1,000 miles, and there was no trace of the Black Cauldron at all. The surrounding people were also terrified. They stared blankly at this scene, not knowing what had happened. Could it be that the king rare treasure had been taken away by someone? Shao Li's face was gloomy. If that was the case, then the person who had come was extremely terrifying. He was at least a 7th heaven venerable, or even stronger. He could not afford to offend such an expert at all. However, the king rare treasure had been ordered by the palace of gods of war. He had to get it. If he could not do it, the consequences would be dire. Thinking of this, Xiao Li's face became extremely ugly. If he could not complete the mission, he would probably end up in a miserable state. Even if his father was an elder in the palace of gods of war, he might not be able to save him. Moreover, what was even more tragic was that he did not know where the black cauldron had gone. Was it taken away by someone, or did it fly away on its own? Although the black cauldron was gone, the crystal skull was still there. If he could get the crystal skull, he might be able to find the black cauldron. If he could not, he could hand it over to the palace of gods of war. Perhaps he would be forgiven. Thinking of this, Xiao Li heaved a sigh of relief. Now, it seemed that the crystal skull was his only hope. Lin Xian, the black cauldron. Xiao Li's eyes were cold as he roared. The crystal skull was in the hands of the other party. As long as he could capture the other party, he would be able to obtain it. In the next moment, he moved and quickly flew into the distance. In front of him, Lin Xian and the other four were flying at an extremely fast speed, like 5 streams of light. Suddenly, Lin Xian's body shook and his face became extremely pale. The spiritual energy in his body also quickly stopped as if it had frozen. Lin Xian felt a huge pressure enveloping his body, as if it was going to tear him apart. His body also became stiff, as if he could not control it. What's going on? A look of horror appeared in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and used the last of his spiritual energy to quickly summon the golden-feathered, mystical eagle. Bang! The golden-feathered, mystical eagle spread its wings and appeared under his feet. Then Lin Xian lay on the back of the mystical eagle, panting nonstop. At that moment, he felt like he was about to die. Moreover, he could not exert any strength in his body. If it was not for his fast speed, he would have fallen. Falling from such a high altitude was no joke. If he fell to his death, it would be a big joke. Seeing this, Bing Ling, Dongfang Phoenix, and the rest were shocked. They quickly landed on the back of the golden-feathered, mystical eagle and asked anxiously, "What happened to you? Are you okay? You look so pale. Were you injured earlier?" Chapter 891. It's nothing. I'll be fine after some rest. During this time, please protect me. Lin Xian's face was as pale as paper, and beads of sweat rolled down his cheeks. Don't worry. As long as we're here, we won't let you get hurt. Bing Ling nodded solemnly. Thank you very much. Lin Xian quickly sat down with his legs crossed and closed his eyes. He quickly checked the situation in his body and was shocked. There was a small black cauldron in his body, emitting a terrifying aura. Seeing this, Lin Xian almost bit his tongue. Although the black cauldron had shrunk countless times, he recognized it at a glance. It was the giant black cauldron that had broken through the king's space. Damn it, what's going on? How did it get into my body? Lin Xian's face was extremely ugly. He realized that the reason why his body was stiff and his spiritual power was disappearing was most likely caused by the small black cauldron. Moreover, the evil aura emitted by the cauldron was too strong. Even with the great dragon sword soul, it was difficult to resist. It wasn't that the great dragon sword soul was inferior to the cauldron, but Lin Xian's current cultivation was unable to unleash the full power of the great dragon sword soul. However, he gritted his teeth and pushed the great dragon sword soul forward with all his might. Fortunately, the great dragon sword soul's offensive saint technique was able to cut off some of the evil aura, even though Lin Xian couldn't fully unleash it. At least, it could allow the spiritual power in his body to circulate again. Feeling that his body was full of spiritual power again, Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief. However, he still looked at the small black cauldron with a worried expression. Ruzalong, what the hell is this? Do you know? Lin Xian asked through telepathy. If I'm not wrong, this small black cauldron should be the legendary 10,000 bee sting. 10,000 bee sting? What's that? Lin Xian was puzzled. He remembered that the small black cauldron was engraved with all kinds of rare beasts. If it's really 10,000 bee sting, then it should be an Earth-level treasure. And it's complete. A complete Earth Step artifact. Lin Xian was so shocked that he almost cried out. He was truly too shocked. After all, the Lone Star Sword was only a fragment of an Earth-rank treasure. Yet it was already terrifying to such an extent. One could imagine how formidable a true Earth-rank treasure would be. But now there was actually an Earth-rank artifact in his body. Lin Xian couldn't believe it. If news of this were to spread, perhaps even King Tears would hunt him down. At this time, the Crimson Dragon spoke again. If my guess is correct, the crystal skull in your hand should be the corpse of Niwa of Gojoseon, and the 10,000 bee sting should be the weapon of Niwa of Gojoseon when he was alive. That's why the two have such a connection. Lin Xian was silent. He realized that if this was the case, then everything seemed to make sense. First of all, the Black Cauldron was an Earth-rank treasure, a legendary King Tier treasure. This treasure was probably left behind by Niwa of Gojoseon when he fell. It was sealed away, waiting for a fated person to obtain it. And Lin Xian seemed to be the fated person. However, he wasn't happy at all. In fact, he was on the verge of tears. Although this Earth-rank treasure was good, he couldn't control it at all. Not to mention controlling it. Just the aura alone was enough to almost tear his body apart. No matter how good this treasure was, he needed to be alive to take it. Be content. If others knew that you had a complete Earth-rank treasure and had such an expression, perhaps all the King Tiers in the world would hunt you down. How about I give it to you? If you can get it out of here, then it's yours. Lin Xian sighed. Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon trembled. Its eyes were burning with passion. This was an Earth-rank treasure, and a complete one at that. One had to know that the value of this treasure was unimaginable. If news of this spread, all the King Tiers would go crazy. Even the Crimson Dragon didn't have a complete Earth-rank treasure when it was at its peak. It could be imagined how precious a complete Earth-rank treasure was. If he could obtain it, he would definitely be able to suppress everyone. But thinking of his own situation, the Crimson Dragon immediately drooped his head. His cultivation was only around the first layer of the Venerable Realm. He couldn't even compare to Lin Xian, let alone obtain the Black Cauldron. Forget it. This thing is too hot to handle. Help me keep it first. It won't be too late to ask for it after I recover my dragon essence. The Crimson Dragon laughed mischievously. F***CK. Lin Xian was so angry that he stomped his foot. He had the urge to curse, but then he took a deep breath. Let's not talk about messing around. Seriously, what should I do with this thing? It's been in my body all this time, and I can't use my strength at all. I think you can try to give up resisting. The Crimson Dragon shrugged. In the past, this dragon heard a saying, if you can't resist, then just enjoy it. It's talking about your current state. Damn you! Lin Xian was so angry that he almost went berserk. Seeing that Lin Xian was anxious, the Crimson Dragon didn't joke around. Instead, he said in a deep voice, I'm serious. You can really give up resisting temporarily and let this fiendish aura fill your entire body. Then I'll die. Lin Xian's face darkened. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that this Roussillon was trying to harm him. You won't die so easily. At least, this Black Cauldron won't take your life. Don't forget, what else do you have in your body? You mean that mysterious little sword? Lin Xian's heart shook. He suddenly remembered that there was an ancient little sword in his body. It was incomparably mysterious. That little sword was originally a pendant given to him by his father. Later, it entered his body and with that mysterious little sword, he was able to cultivate. Furthermore, it was also in that mysterious little sword that Lin Xian met Lord Alcohol and began his counterattack. By the way, what exactly is that little glazed sword in my body? Lin Xian asked with a voice transmission. About that, I've checked it many times, but I can't tell. However, I can tell that it's definitely something from the primordial era, the Crimson Dragon said with lingering fear. He had once checked Lin Xian's body. When he saw the mysterious little sword in his body, he was shocked. He tried to approach it, but he was nearly scared out of his wits. The mysterious little sword was too terrifying. It was even more terrifying than the aura emitted by the dragon sword soul. I think that as long as we let the fiendish aura provoke the mysterious little sword, with its strength, we can definitely suppress 10,000 bee sting. Lin Xian nodded. There was no better way at the moment, so he could only give it a try. Furthermore, the most mysterious thing in his body was that little glazed sword. It was even more mysterious than the dragon sword soul. Let's go all out. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and decided to do as the Crimson Dragon said. He really had no other choice. He couldn't use much strength in his current state. Furthermore, he was in an extremely dangerous situation. There was no telling when Shaoli would catch up. Therefore, he had to get rid of the little black cauldron as soon as possible. In the next moment, Lin Xian activated the dragon sword soul and withdrew all the sharp sword aura. He was in a relaxed state, as if it sensed the disappearance of the sword intent. The little black cauldron trembled slightly. Then, it emitted an even more terrifying light. Waves of black aura flowed wildly like a black torrent, quickly filling his body. The little black cauldron transformed into a black light and charged towards the spirit sea. Chapter 892. Lin Xian did not know that the moment he withdrew the great dragon sword soul, countless black gas instantly covered his body and formed dark, demonic runes on his body. It was extremely terrifying. This scene startled Bingling and the others. They looked at Lin Xian in shock, not knowing what to do. Bingling's mouth was slightly agape, and her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Although she didn't know what had happened to Lin Xian. Just looking at the black, demonic patterns that had formed on the surface of Lin Xian's body was enough to make them feel incomparably terrified. Could it be that he had been attacked by the demonic aura from the Black Cauldron? Dongfang Phoenix was also shocked. Let's go. Let's go to a safe place and then hurry back to the college. I feel that junior brother Lin is in a very dangerous state. Bingling said in a low voice. Finally, she tried to communicate with the golden-feathered sacred eagle to increase its speed. The golden-feathered sacred eagle seemed to have sensed Lin Xian's state. It suddenly screeched and flapped its wings, increasing its speed and flying into the distance. However, just as it increased its speed, there was a sudden air-rending sound from above. The void was mercilessly torn apart, and a black fist, like a huge mountain, came crashing down. The aura was too terrifying. Bingling and the rest instantly tensed up. Not good. Quick, defend! Bingling shouted and then waved the ice staff in her hand, forming a layer of ice mist and blocking the sky. Dongfang Phoenix and the rest also took action. Dazzling rays of light superimposed on the ice mountain. In the next moment, the black shadow came crashing down. The terrifying force forced Bingling and the rest to retreat. Even the golden-feathered sacred eagle screeched and fell rapidly. Bingling and the rest turned pale and quickly stopped themselves. They then looked up solemnly. There was a black shadow there. He was wearing a long black robe with 3 golden dragons on it. They were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. He was extremely arrogant. Shaoli! When they saw the black shadow, Bingling and the rest's faces turned ugly. Hee, you guys ran pretty fast. But do you think you can escape from me? Shaoli said coldly. He looked around and saw the figure sitting cross-legged below. A sharp light shone from him. He had finally found Lin Xian. Oh no, I'm afraid his target is junior brother Lin. Bing Ling's face darkened when she saw the other's greedy eyes. What should we do now? Yang Linwing asked. Junior sister Dongfang, you take Lin Xian and leave first. The three of us will hold this guy back. In his current state, Lin Xian couldn't make a move at all, and they couldn't just watch Lin Xian get caught, so they could only let Dongfang Phoenix take Lin Xian away first. But Dongfang Phoenix looked at Bing Ling and the other two worriedly. Don't hesitate. If you hesitate any longer, I'm afraid none of you will be able to leave, Bing Ling said coldly. Although she was a girl, she was very decisive at this time. All right, then you must be careful. Dongfang Fenghuang also knew the urgency of the situation. She gritted her teeth and said quickly. Then she turned around and landed on the golden feather godly condor. She quickly urged it to fly away. You want to leave? How laughable! Seeing the golden stream of light, Shaoli grinned and stretched out his palm quickly. Your opponent is us. Bing Ling snorted and the aura in her body exploded. An unusually cold air filled the entire space. Yang Lin and Yi Yan also attacked with all their might. They attacked together and blocked the Black Hand. You're courting death. Seeing that the other party dared to block his attack, Xiao Li's face darkened and killing intent surged in his eyes. Anyway, the brat can't escape from me. I'll deal with you guys first, then I'll kill that brat. Xiao Li turned around and stared at Bing Ling and the other two with a cruel smile on his face. A large black flag appeared in his hand. On the flag, there were 3 ferocious dragons circling around, emitting a terrifying and vast aura. Let's attack together, don't hold back. Bing Ling shouted and the aura in her body exploded again. The space behind her fluctuated and an ice blue throne appeared. It was crystal clear and emitted a piercing chill. Ice ceiling throne, that was her martial soul. Facing a rank for honorable, Bing Ling didn't dare to be careless. Therefore, she immediately summoned her martial soul. A large ice throne appeared behind Bing Ling and emitted a terrifying icy aura. In the next moment, she sat on the ice throne like a queen. With the ice scepter in her hand, she was like the ice goddess who had descended to the world. She waved the ice scepter and cold air gathered to form an icy wind that rushed forward. Yang Lin also summoned his martial soul. The muscles on his body bulged, and he was like a giant, filled with explosive power. His martial soul was a mountain peak that emitted yellow light. There were mysterious runes on it, and it emitted a heaviness that could crush the sky. Yang Lin raised his hands and attacked his opponents with a force that was as heavy as 10,000 pounds. A purple eye appeared behind Yi Yan. It was extremely strange and had a soul aura that made people tremble. The purple eye shone and formed a purple ray that surged forward. The 3 of them summoned their martial souls at the same time and attacked with powerful attacks. A bunch of ants. How dare you compete with the sun and moon? Xiao Li said with disdain. So what if you summon your martial souls? He waved the black flag in his hand, and black smoke instantly covered the surroundings like a demon. The 3 dragons roared ferociously and pounced toward Bing Ling and the other 2. Boom! Terrifying energy exploded and instantly flooded the space. On the other side, Dongfang Fenghuang rode the golden feather divine eagle and flew quickly. Lin Xian sat cross-legged on the back of the divine eagle with his eyes closed. In his body, the black cauldron emitted a murderous aura. It was like a black wave that swam quickly in his spiritual meridians. The aura was extremely terrifying, and it could confuse people's minds and turn them into killing machines. In an instant, Lin Xian suffered great pain. Fortunately, he had a strong will and was able to endure it. The black cauldron turned into a black light and rushed toward his spiritual sea. The spiritual sea was the source of a martial artist's strength. The black cauldron wanted to occupy it. However, there was a small glazed sword floating in the air above the spiritual sea. It was located right above the spirit sea. Seeing that the best spot was occupied, the black cauldron started to buzz and emitted a black light. It was obviously furious. Boom! It turned into a black light again and rushed toward the small glazed sword, trying to drive it away. A low voice sounded in Lin Xian's body and echoed continuously. The black cauldron was quickly pushed back. Above the spiritual sea, the small glazed sword was still hovering quietly. It was obvious that the attack just now did not cause any damage to it. This immediately angered the black cauldron. It was an Earth-class treasure, and a complete one at that. Who in the world would dare to go against it? In the next moment, it emitted a dazzling light. All kinds of rare beasts swam around the cauldron and roared. It was obvious that it wanted to use all its strength to drive away the despicable guy. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.